Hello, everyone. This is Scotty White of World Combat Sports. Give me a minute. I have a special guest, Justin Austin from SOSS Straight Talk. He will be joining us. We're going to talk about boxing, MMA, most shocking moments. And also, you probably will hear some general topics and so forth. So just give me a minute. Be sure to smash that like button. Support your boy, World Combat Sports. It's a nice weekend. And we're here to jump this off. We're going to talk about some of the craziest moments that we ever experienced in boxing and MMA. And while we're doing it, just think about some of your most craziest moments that you dealt with or seen in your time of covering the sport of boxing and MMA. It's plenty out there. I'm pretty sure you're going to have plenty of time to basically, look up some of them. But some of your craziest moments that you remember in covering the sport of boxing and MMA that sticks out with you the most. So I'm trying to bring my man on here, Justin Austin, who covers basketball, football, sports, man, one of the best in the game. So give me a minute to get him in. What's good with you there, Justin?
How we doing? How we doing?
Chilling. Everyone is tuned in. I have the one and only Justin Austin, SOSS Straight Talk in the building, one of the best in the game. We're covering the play-by-play with basketball, football, and I know probably in his, little privacy, he does cover baseball too.
Oh yeah. Go Yankees.
Man, I wanted to get on here and talk about some of the most craziest moments in combat sports in general, since it is at that level right now where we just had the Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz and all the talk that happened and speculation that went on before the fight, during the fight, and now post-fight, where Anthony Joshua is basically saying that he doesn't remember anything after the third round.
Man, from what went on in the third round, I can believe it. You know what I'm saying? From the standpoint of like when you using a lot of energy, you know what I'm saying, trying to get somebody out of there. He knocked the Ruiz down first, trying to get him out of there, and then you know what I'm saying, you get hit with something that, like you said, you get hit, with that much force, you know what I'm saying, and then you're kind of gasping a little bit. It kind of messes you up to where you can't remember what happened, because it's a different type of hurt game, man. When you sitting there leaving yourself wide open the way Joshua was.
As we think about boxing, fatigue does lead up to the knockout. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we already know that Anthony Joshua had a suspect gas tank to begin with. But I want to ask you this, man. Like Andy Ruiz and Joseph Parker fought. They had a common opponent in Dimitrenko. Okay. Andy Ruiz went the distance with Dimitrenko, but Joseph Parker stopped him, from my understanding. So I want a caveat to lead up to the Joshua fight. Joseph Parker was able to defeat Andy Ruiz, who Joseph Parker went in there with Anthony Joshua and lost. I'm saying it's more of a variable of fatigue, in my opinion, that Andy Ruiz was able to have such an advantage and just landing his punches the way he did, when Anthony Joshua, who I believe was coming down and trying to get clean, crossing over to the U.S. I just think fatigue played a huge role in how bad he suffered that defeat.
Yeah, I put it the two things in my mind to where I looked at Joshua, especially with the size and everything like that. It's just too much focus on that. you know what I'm saying, especially with this fight, because you brought up a good point with Joseph Parker and Ruiz, is that Ruiz, you know what I'm saying, he mentioned that with the Parker fight, that his, preparation for that was not like preparation for Joshua because he has just come off of a fight. I believe he just fought not too long ago before Joshua. And
Yeah.
him training in a different way to where he said, I felt very confident the way I trained and been prepared. He was like, I was already ready. And he was like, he mentioned, he was like, Joseph Parker, we can run it back. You know what I'm saying? To where like he like I looked at it to where on the Joshua side where like Shane Mosley when he hit Floyd Mayweather. When Shane Mosley hit Floyd, he was tight, ready to go, had a lot of just too much behind that, and Joshua wanted to over impress the US because Wilder put down Brazil like that. He wanted to cement his debut in America by putting Andy Ruiz through what Dominic Brazil went through, and he had so much anxiousness behind that, so much energy behind that third round where he knocked him down and ended up losing him the fight. Because you got to be that laser focused to just win the fight. But he was wanting to home run. So that's when you say in my privacy I talk baseball, when a batter is up to bat and he's seeing dead red fastball and that's what he's reading, he's ready to swing that baseball bat high to the hard, but it could be a curveball just ready to drop. And Ruiz was that curveball because I ain't scared of you, and he came back with shots and just discombobulated Anthony Joshua.
Look at it this way. I just want to ask your honest opinion as far as the fatigue factor goes. I know Andy Ruiz went in there and performed well,
Yeah,
but when it comes to stopping Joshua, who we've seen struggle with the Carlos Takam, we've seen him
yeah,
struggle with Vladimir.
yeah.
Also, he had the referee on his side in the UK when he fought Joseph Parker for the
Joseph Parker.
WBO title.
Amen.
So I'm just looking at this like Joshua was saying he doesn't remember after the third round. Fatigue will take you to a place of amnesia, especially when
Mm-hmm.
you get hit in the head. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I mean, that it
With
doesn't
with
surprise me that Andy Ruiz was able to take advantage the way he did.
right. And with fatigue, you have the moments of like, man, your legs, like Rui said, he said, I saw his legs shaking. Since his legs were shaking, man. They're like no legs, and you ain't, it just it's an amazing thing to see whenever somebody can see that you're tired, you light up. You like, oh my God. And that just gave Ruiz a totally different confidence. And Joshua has faced that type of fatigue because he mentioned against Vladimir Klitschko, I had to get my second win. The man just not built for conditioning. You know what I'm saying? Just like a Conor McGregor who just ain't built for having great condition. I mean, like they're just not going to focus on that point of the fighting. I guess. I mean, it's something they struggle with. Zab Judah struggled with that. Floyd Mayweather attacked that. Are you gonna have 6 good rounds? Maybe 5. You gonna have 5 or 6 good rounds. But after that, it's my time to shine. So I mean, guys got to key in on that part of the game to where you got to be ready to go through that, especially when you getting hit in the head, like you just said, Scotty White.
Hey, what was your most shocking moment in boxing, man, that stands out? It can be in the past, recent or what have you, because shocking moments, when it comes to Anthony Joshua, that wasn't, even up in my top 20. It was pretty much expected. But what was
Mm-hmm.
your one of your most shocking moments in the sport of boxing that you still talk about, amongst your friends and everything when boxing come up?
Oh my God, I think the first thing was when Roy Jones Jr. got knocked out for the first time, and I mean, I was just talking about that recently with a group of friends. We was just sitting there just saying like, rest in peace to my cousin who passed away. We love Roy Jones Jr. When that knockout happened, I mean, like we it was like it was a culture. It was a shock. I mean, it was like yeah, we couldn't watch boxing the same for a couple of years because then he lost back to back. So I mean, that right there to me is still the most shocking thing that happened in boxing in my life.
You think he should have just left Antonio alone after that and just chilled instead of just doing a trilogy with him?
I think he should have left him alone after beating him the first time because he looked at adversity in the eye. He
Yeah.
dropped down from heavyweight back to light heavyweight, drained, and I thought he had a great second half of that fight to win the fight. Why rematch it? He took the bait of, oh, I beat you, Roy, but he could have been like, you can keep watching that fight over and over. Roy Jones really bit the towel and went crazy, man. Like he showed up in the second half of that fight, so I didn't think he had much to prove to rematch him because he landed the punch, getting hit to get knocked out. So I mean, like he looked good in the first round. He looked like Roy Jones. I just think after getting knocked out back to back doing the trilogy, he was just already what you call gun shy. Just didn't want to get hit. He was just always in the stance. Didn't throw combinations. He kept on one jab and trying to go to the body. Like he looked horrible in that third fight.
I think one of the most shocking, that was a good point you just made, with Roy Jones. The good thing he was able to recover a little bit and fight on, because I believe the last fight that him and Antonio Tarver had, it went the distance, right?
Yeah, it went 12 rounds because he
Yeah.
stayed out the way. He stayed out the way. He
And
fought
see,
like Danny Jacobs against
exactly.
Canelo.
True words. Exactly. Good point. And that just goes to show you the way Roy Jones was knocked out against Antonio Tarver, man. It doesn't mean that you can't come back and avenge it. Yeah, he didn't win, but he still went back to the ring. That's respect.
Yep.
He still went back
That's
in there,
yes,
man.
yes, he did, and I respect it wholeheartedly. I just thought, and being a big time Roy Jones Jr. fan, which I still am to this day, take some more time off after the knockout. He came back too fast against Glenn Johnson, and you know what I'm saying, and then that happened. It was just too fast. You know what I'm saying? He tried to get back at it too fast, and I thought he should have took a little bit more time, and I thought he would have been a little bit more better off.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. One of my most shocking moments in history that still resonates to this day. It's like, just one on the list is the point where you had Richard Allen fighting James Butler. And I know you probably was looking at this on the highlights in the ESPN, but James Butler basically fought Richard Allen in 97. And he lost to a unanimous decision, right? The brother
Mm-hmm.
had dreads. You probably remember the brother had dreads, locks or whatever, kind of like this raw character in boxing, that you wouldn't want to fuck with outside the ring either. He just had that look about him. But anyway,
Okay.
um, he went in there and decided to fight Richard Allen again. It was Richard the Alien Allen, because he looked a little weird, but he can box. So he fought him like 5 years later, a little under 5 years. And James Butler came up short again on the decision. So Richard Allen is going over there. They have no gloves on. They still have the hand wraps. He walks over to my man James Butler to shake his hand, and James Butler raises his right fist like you would do when you was a kid, like, okay, I'm showing you this, and he cracks him on the chin. It was all
Wow.
over ESPN. He cracks the man on the chin and drops him. This is before they even rendered the decision.
Mm-hmm.
That man ended
Oh,
up going to Rikers Isle for 4 months. 4 months.
yeah.
He went to Rikers
Yes.
Isle, dog.
I remember that. I remember that. That right there was a shocker.
This cat right here was what you call the real one, man. He really didn't care.
He
He
did
has some
not.
ups and downs in his career, but the crack your opponent before the decision is read, knowing that you had lost, it was just crazy for him to do that. He ended up losing again via decision. And if you don't know, you might, but James Butler was the same guy who took the life of Sam Kellerman, Max
Yeah.
Kellerman's brother.
Yeah. That's why whenever when the light bulb really went off, I said, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy." Yeah. He beat him to death with a baseball bat. It's one of the more it was just crazy, man. It made Max Kellerman take time off from doing, work on TV. I mean, like that was just crazy. Somebody was just helping him out, giving him a chance to, saying flourish in boxing. But he just, had real mental health issues and saying he was just crazy. And, he was horrible. That was a horrible person, man.
And give it up for Sam Kellerman, the late Sam Kellerman, for actually doing a good deed with this guy.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
having him stand and giving him refuge and everything. And
Yeah,
then knowing this dude has been to Rikers Isle. You know what I'm
right.
saying? This dude
Yeah, man.
did suspension in boxing, and he did 4 months up in Rikers Isle. And all Sam Kellerman was doing was like, "Hey, man, you need to clean up a little bit more. You're tearing my place up, this, that, and the other." And the dude beat him to death and set the house
Yeah,
on fire.
yeah, man. I mean, that's just crazy. It was one of the craziest things ever. I think here recently, because I'm a person that like to bounce around a podcast, but I was more shocked with this. It's not my more shocking thing in boxing, but it's just like Roberto Medina. Like this person, like literally was named Juan Garcia. John Garcia, Juan Garcia, where you want to call him. It's like this guy was a person who was arrested 67 times in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And this person, what I'm saying, was in a penitentiary, had 7 more months before he got out. And he was doing a work program, where you drive a water truck, people work the fields or whatever like that. And he was driving the water truck. He drove the water truck off, got out and just walked off, found his way in Tampa, Florida, ended up working his way into being a janitor at a boxer gym. But he had boxed in the penitentiary where he boxed around some people that, were some pros, people that knew pros and stuff like that. Fight at 130, 135. Guy was like 70-1 in jail. So he already knew about boxing. The man was 27 years old in
Yeah.
Tampa, being a janitor in the gym. He sit there, took up boxing in the gym. They was like, man, you've done this before. Turned pro. He sit there and he wanted to go to the Olympics. He could have went to the Olympics. This man knew that the Olympics, to get the path to go to the Olympics, he had to go to Colorado. He didn't go. He lost on purpose. Turned pro. Went 9. He went all the way to say about 9-0. He went 9-1-1. He went 7-1-1. 7-0-1. 7-0-1. Then he worked his way up to 9-1-1. But he had a fight against Meldrick Taylor on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
He sit there, had an interview with Robert Cosell. Colorado seen it and sit there and arrested that man after he got his. I mean, he got hit 385 times by Meldrick Taylor in that fight, and it was a 10 round. It was a 10 round fight.
Wow.
Six round fight. I'm sorry, it was a 6 round fight. He got hit 385 times.
Man, that's crazy, man. That's just
And and after the fight, he was arrested. They let him go to the, get showered and everything like that. Then he was arrested and he did his time in jail. Got back out. He changed his name to Roberto Medina. He found an ID on the ground. That's the shocking thing I found out here, and that was just recently, that this man turned pro using a fake name, using a name that he just found the ID off the floor. It was not back in 1982. He was arrested in 1985.
that's crazy, man. I tell you, boxing is the beauty and the beast, man, because it allows individuals with all walks of life, man, to join the sport to make a living, and some of them, make the most of it. They make the best amount of money they ever could have possibly seen working a 9 to 5, and then the beast of it is sometimes those characters come out in the worst way in the sport of boxing, man.
Exactly. Exactly. He had the whole boxing world shocked where they was like, man, they was like, this guy was a cool guy. I mean, like he was coming up as a promising pro. He was knocking guys out. You didn't see 130, 135 pound guys knocking people out the way he was. And he was knocking people out in the first round, getting TKOs in the second, third round. I mean, he was peeling through guys. And in the amateurs, he had a good amateur record. So I mean, like he was a good prospect, but Meldrick Taylor beat the death out of him, and then he went to jail. He came back and had a few more fights, but he never was the same.
I want to change things to another shocking moment, that really was crazy. Um, it's kind of a part one of two when it comes to this fighter, Zab Judah. Zab Judah
Okay.
fought last night, and he
Oh,
didn't fare too well, man. I've seen Zab on several occasions, man. Really cool dude, especially over there in Brooklyn and everything. And it's just time to hang it up for him the way he looked yesterday, performance and everything, assessment. But let's go back in reflection when he fought Costa Zoo. And
Woo.
and the point of Zab being upset at the results, and Costa Zoo really had him on noodle legs. Real talk.
Yes. Real talk.
And whatever transpired after that with them stopping the fight, I know it was a lot that was probably going on through Zab's mind, but for him to toss a stool, he tossed a stool in the middle of the ring at whoever, because the trainers and both teams rushed the ring, and also he got away from his dad, who in for a lot of people, they understand that this is like a 6 or 7 time champion in kickboxing or something like that. So his dad he can bang, but Zab can
Right.
be remembered by going over there choking Jay Nady, putting his glove up on Jay Nady's neck. Tell me what you thought about that, man, because a lot went on after that. A lot of people was fine after that bout and suspended.
Yeah. I look at that fight like how I look at some UFC fights, whenever the fighter gets like knocked out or gets put to sleep a little bit and they come up fighting the ref or they go crazy. Zab Judah got up too fast. Like, you got 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go down, take about 5 seconds, get yourself together and start getting yourself up. He got up too fast and his legs was like, oh my God. It was like a giraffe being born. You know what I'm saying? Like the legs just wasn't
Newborn
there.
fawn.
Yeah, exactly. And it just like he got up too fast, and so all that adrenaline of losing and all that stuff like that prompted him to go crazy. And he's just a person that could lose it anyway. Because if you look at the low blow to Floyd Mayweather, I mean, he saw things panicking and then he did that. So it goes to where it's just like, damn, man, like I was supposed to beat Costa Zoo. I was supposed to beat him, and he caught me. And then the way he caught him, and that's why he sit there and got up was like, oh, I pointed at the ref. Like, all that was just like, I gotta play this off. And that was, I think that was his mental on that, and then just all that went crumbling down, and then you self destruct after that.
Yeah, Kasazu caught him with a nice one, man, and hurt him. And good point you made. He did get up too quick. For somebody who's experienced as Zab Judah, man, he should have known better just to sustain his composure, take some deep breaths, and then make it back to his feet. Then, the caveat and attached to Zab Judah's most shocking moments was the fact that, he's probably one of the only fighters to drop Floyd Mayweather with a punch.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, and not get called for the knockout. I mean, the knockdown. But
no, he hit the glove touch. Yeah, the glove touch
yeah,
the ring.
but when they finally had a chance to really get into it and exchange, Mayweather started getting the better of Zab Judah, and I guess Zab resorted to his Brooklyn roots or whatever, back to the Costa Zoo, and he started hitting Floyd Mayweather with the low blows.
Yeah, and that's the game plan of what Floyd and Roger had, and that he's going to get tired and he's going to get frustrated. But they didn't think he was going to, do something dirty like that, But that was the whole point of Roger getting in the ring and being where he was. But Zab Judah just know that in having that, that mentality. People was calling him Mike Tyson of that weight class. I mean, believe it or not. So I mean, they were some people that said that. So I mean, he wanted to sit there and put people down and finish people. He went at Floyd. I mean, he was throwing them straight lefts. I mean, like he was bringing high intensity at Floyd Mayweather in those first 4 rounds. And that was the game plan, to sit there and let him do it. But he did knock Floyd down. I mean, that should have been called a knockdown. Got away with it.
And Roger Mayweather, man, ended up being fined $200,000 for that. Can you imagine that? $200,000. And then and then Zab's dad was fined like $100,000. Look, the purse initially was supposed to be much more. Like Floyd was gonna make $7 million, and Zab was gonna make, I believe, 3 or something like that, 3 million. But with the overall purse and guaranteed money or whatever was 1 million for Zab, plus on the top end, on the back end, or whatever. So when it all came down to it, Zab's dad ended up being fined something to the extent of 150,000. Zab Judah for his taking it all was fined 350,000. They had to pay damn near close to $500,000 in fines for that particular fight just for
Yeah.
losing control. And
Yeah.
and Leonard Elby.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it got out of hand. It was just, where things can get to where you're just saying, man, why would you do something on purpose? Just like the headbutt from Ortiz. It's just like how, like, simple, like silly fouls, you can't erupt on it. Like when Sam Peter did the double fist, I mean, did the double, saying he did the double punch around Vladimir Klitschko's ears, kind of like the little, I called it the Donkey Kong punch. It
Yeah.
ain't nothing to go crazy about. But when you sit there and purposely hit somebody in the nuts the way Zab Judah did, or like a Galata did Riddick Bowe, you get the reaction that you get. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And that you can't stop that. Ron Artest went laid down, a beer got thrown on him. Damn it, the balance in the palace is gonna happen. So you
Damn
can't
right.
you can't do shit like that and be like, man, I didn't think Roger would get Roger Mayweather was like, man, you dirty bastard, man. Like, why would you sit there and just do that, man? Like, just because he's whooping your ass, that sometimes becomes uncontrollable, man. And he's just protecting somebody that he loves, man. You can't. That just comes out of you.
Yeah, those are some of the modern day crazy moments, especially part 1 and 2 of Zab Judah and what went on. With him just losing control, and in both times he really had no reason to lose control. He was just
Right.
outperformed, and he just look at it probably now being much more mature. He probably say to himself like, "Damn, I really should have thought about that."
Yeah, you should
Before I
have
went
did
out
that.
there and got suspended.
Yeah, that was stupid. I always said that was like like Itagaki when Darrell Darrell he did get a little dirty. That was a little dirty, and saying after the bell because he just kept punching. I was like, damn, saying, and like I said, some outrages where his uncle went over there and went and did that. It just it's just you can't help it, man. Like it's certain things happen, man, and like years down the road, you're thinking like, damn, I shouldn't have went over there and punched him like that. But damn, he was sitting there hitting him after the bell, and you're watching somebody that you love sitting there getting hit like that, and he had his hands down, getting hit point blank range. I mean, like certain rages comes out, and Roger Mayweather is a person that's got a short fuse anyway. Because if you talk boxing and don't know what you're talking about, you don't know shit about boxing. So I mean, like you can't, you know what you're up against with that.
And speaking of Andre the Rail, that was one of the most shocking moments because Jose Uzcategui was warned about hitting after the bell, and Bill Clancy, I believe, not was it Bill Clancy that was refereeing? They was trying to say that he wasn't doing a tight enough job in keeping control of that fight, and a lot of time Uzcategui was hitting Andre the Rail after the bell, so it got
Oh
to the
man,
point.
it got to the point where it was 3 punches. Like,
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like, goddamn. Like, what I'm saying? Like, it got to a point where I literally I think he landed 3 punches after the bell. I said, well, shit. It's like, come on, man. Like, if he did it, what I'm saying, you'd be wanting to take a point away, it seemed like. But it's just like he let him take shots to where a person would feel like, damn it, I'm going to go over there and hit him in his face. So, I mean, shit happens.
and Uzcategui, man, claimed he didn't hear the bell. Like at that moment, he said he had a problem hearing the bell. Everybody else did
Uh,
for him.
Well, damn it, he must have had Madonna in his ear or something like that. But damn it, I mean, I don't know how you can't hear a bell in that ring.
But what's crazy about Leon, I believe that was his uncle's name, Leon walking over to Uzcategui. It was strange because he really didn't give the man any warning that he was about to step over there and crack him with a left.
He really didn't. Like he wanted to make sure I land these because he a highly trained athlete right now, and I'm just somebody that just I'm gonna make sure I can get my shot. He took it. Like he thought of it. He thought methodical. He be very 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 much. He was very cerebral.
And he actually went on the run after that too. Like,
Yeah, he was like I ain't turning myself in, but he eventually did.
yeah, he eventually did, and they came, to a plea deal or what have you. and they was trying to say that he wasn't going to be licensed nowhere for quite some time, but they worked out a plea deal, and I think he did serve some time. He had to serve some time or whatever, but from my understanding, he is out right now.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him that much, but yeah, it's
I
good for
haven't
him.
seen
He was
Andre
able to
Darrell
recover.
that much either. I mean,
What now?
I said, we're not gonna see Andre Darrell that much either.
No, for real, we ain't gonna see him that much. I mean, it's not like that people are calling to see him in the first place, you know.
No, they're not. I'm not.
But isn't he the one? Isn't Andre the Real the one who's holding the WBC right now?
I don't.
I mean, because
I mean,
Uzkataki is the junior middleweight. He fights junior middleweight, or he fights
so what's it?
super middle.
So who? I mean, was Andre Darrell? He was one hit after the bell. It was his brother.
I think it was Andre the Real, right?
No, if he's holding the belt, then he's about to lose that.
Because this no, they're fighting 168 because they up there. Uzkataki is in the division with Caleb Plant and Mike
Yeah,
McCallum and all those dudes. So they fighting in super middle.
yeah. His Uzkataki's last performance wasn't so great.
I mean, he got outboxed, man, for real. That's
Yeah,
real talk.
yeah,
I
right.
was shocked. I ain't gonna lie. I was shocked that Caleb was able to drop him the way he did.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Caleb is a good fighter.
But it all play itself out, man. When it comes back to him facing Joseph Benavidez or whatever, I'm gonna move on to the next shocking moment that everybody likes to talk about. It deals with a buffet full of ears and cartilage and everything. Mike Tyson,
Oh, man.
Mike
Yes,
Tyson
yes.
biting.
I was saving that one for you.
Yeah, Mike Tyson freaking, figured he didn't eat breakfast, so he wanted to go in there and bite on something that looks damn near like bacon, and that was Evander
Mm-hmm.
Holyfield's ear.
Mm-hmm. And you know that I always say that moment you could always tell somebody's battling with mental health issues or somebody just really just out of control. Like, somebody that that really when it comes down to it just don't give a fuck whenever they feel like something like Mike Tyson was not doing bad in that fight. That's everybody rewind back to that fight leading up to him biting Evander Holyfield's ear. He was not doing bad in that fight. He was landing shots. He was moving. Like I mean, like getting to a point to where he was hitting him, but where we all know when later rounds what type of Tyson was going to get. But at that point, Tyson was not doing bad, but he was getting headbutt.
Yeah,
And damn it, you can go back and look. He was getting headbutt. He kept telling the ref he's headbutting me. But the difference in some other people, like LeBron James, for a quick example, I always say, like whenever Muhammad pushed him and he just landed, he fell on the floor, did the slide, and
yeah,
took the technical, went shot the free throws. If that would have been Artez, Charles Oakley, Nazir Muhammad would have been in the second row somewhere. Okay, there would have been a fight. A big brawl would have happened. That's Mike Tyson. So if you're not gonna do nothing, ref, all right, I'm gonna bite this nigga's ears off. So I mean, that's what he did. He bit his ear. So that's what happens when, like Zab Judah, like we were just talking about. That's what creates these shocking moments. Mike Tyson wasn't doing bad, but at this point, he didn't give a damn about the sport no more. He's just like, I'm gonna bite his ear off, man. I'm getting tired of his big ass head. That's what he did.
in the sport of boxing, though, being that they have to deal with so many challenges and physical engagement, do you think Mike Tyson had a point to say, "Look at me, I got to go home to my kids like this"? I'm talking about like all from a cut, even though Evander Holyfield was connecting and headbutting and everything. Do you think it was warranted for Tyson to go for both ears?
That's why I said that people are different because it's like, no, it would warrant it, but he felt it was because he like, damn, like I could you punch me in my head, that's in the sport of boxing. Like he like, damn, at least punch me. But that big crater head, that big 35-pound sucker that Evander Holyfield got, that gotta hurt, man. I mean,
Hell
he
yeah.
probably he just took it overboard. So I mean, other people gonna do stuff different. LeBron James, like I said, he went shot his free throws and they got the ball back and he went on and they beat the Bulls. But he could have went on and just said, okay, Like he headbutt me, so I'm just gonna, you know what I'm saying, throw this uppercut some more and keep on boxing. And maybe the ref might take a point away. But he looked at it as like, damn, this ref ain't gonna do nothing. I'm gonna bite his ear off, man. I'm getting tired of this anyway. I mean, he just that's the point of person to just lose that type of focus because of frustration. They lose control of that and just say, F it.
And that's what I kind of compare that to a lot of people that whine so much about the new era of
Mm-hmm.
fighters, not being treated fairly, or the way they always talking bad about Wilder when it comes to Joshua and everything. Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it's been people out there that had way worse moments that's still
Mm-hmm.
boxing in the sport. To say a
Yeah.
fighter should be banned for
Mm-hmm.
saying that he want to catch a body on something. I mean, look what Mike
Yeah.
Tyson did. He bit somebody's body part off, both sides.
Right.
He just
Both
wasn't
sides.
able to get the left side, but he was able to get the
Yeah.
right side.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, Riddick Bowe would sit there and punch the guy in the press conference, man. Like one of the funniest moments, but shocking moments. But you had moments where uh you just never know what you're gonna get, man. Like whenever a pitcher throws somebody high and inside and throw it at your chin or throw it at your temple, a person may get up and throw their bat down and march the damn mound. Some people gonna just be like, "Hey, you bastard," and go up to the first round. I'm gonna go to the first base. Just that's you have two different types of people. Tyson is on that side to where I gotta go. I gotta go to the left. I gotta go to the left.
And it will always be one of those unique moments with Iron Mike Tyson being able to recover in this society. Like, you're talking about a guy who went to prison for rape. He did what he did in the ring, and also he's attached to being defeated by Buster Douglas. But if you talk to him today, the people how they embrace this man, I mean, it's amazing, man. Seriously,
Yeah.
it's just amazing how he's been able to outweather what he did in the past and is able to succeed out here and have people approach him respectfully. Talking about, man, that's Iron Mike Tyson, man. He a legend.
Yeah.
He did this and
Yeah.
that. Because a lot of people just cast your ass out and don't say shit to you.
Well, I take that is part of boxing too. It's like you kind of know, what I'm saying, like you either gonna get the Floyd Mayweather or you gonna get the Tyson. You're gonna get you're gonna get the Lennox Lewis. You're gonna get the I would say the Vander Holyfields. You know what I'm saying, the guys that to take shots to the head. You know what I'm saying, like those guys. Saying they go off and they may have good successful lives with business ventures or whatever, but they are kind of like just in the cut. You got some guys that want to be out in the spotlight. You got some guys that's going to be say respected for what they are. Mike Tyson is respected because people understand that he took boxing to a certain level where like we're animals in here. Like we he looked at boxing like I'm coming in there and putting fear in my opponent, and it was a savage mentality. And I think that especially in the new era, a lot of people respect that, and his respect has went up because of that.
It did, man. That's a damn good point. And I'm just happy to know somebody. I mean, Mike Tyson, man, he's one of the strongest fighters, really, mentally, even though he had mental problems to endure what he did with Don King, prison, with the rape,
Mm-hmm.
being upset by Buster Douglas. Man, having an incident once again when you compare prison to him biting off an ear, just
Mm-hmm.
going through the damn vilification of the boxing public. I mean,
Right.
goddamn, you have to be cut from a different cloth. And then coming up the way he did, man, like Mike Tyson was only taught boxing. They really wasn't having this kid in school trying to be a genius and learn how to read and write and just be smart. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
Customato had his
he
ass in
was
the gym teaching him how to
right.
box,
Right. I mean, he was arrested 71 times. Uh, before he was like 18. Like, I mean,
and he was
so
knocking old ladies out.
right. So I mean, I mean, he was going to like Custom Auto said, I could have the next heavyweight champion of the world if I can control him.
Yeah.
and and you had a guy that was going to be a heavyweight champion because he put intimidation, and a big factor was his intimidation. His skill set was speed with power and movement. With that type of force, that's scary because he's not throwing no slow hook shots. He's not tall, sitting there throwing no brolic like, you know what I'm saying? He is a short, compact pit bull, bobbing and weaving. You can't find him. You throw a punch, you don't know if that counter coming with pure tenacity, man. And that scared a lot of heavyweights that he fought coming up. And he ran into that one guy that just wasn't scared, and it was just so happened that Mike Tyson was going through some shit. That's the combination of what his downfall to where he was going through some shit, and then somebody was going through some shit that was going to propel him to be like, I gotta beat this man. Like I mean, Buster Douglas, and that's the one thing about saying shocking moments right here where they say with Buster Douglas that was such a biggest thing and the stuff like this is the one thing I want to remind people is that Buster Douglas was say he was supposed to be really damn good. Like if you look at the outlook of him, if you look at say like Buster Douglas and what he brought to boxing, is that when you look at him, he was a tall, athletic looking type heavyweight that had a good jab, good little quickness to him about him with power. That if he would have dedicated himself in the gym, he could have been a great heavyweight. He wasn't no bum. He made himself a bum because of his work ethic. He lost his mother. That's very bad. That was horrible. And that man thought I need the that pushed him to beat Mike Tyson. He trained his ass off and everything. He beat Mike Tyson and then ate pizza for just think if he'd have trained hard for Evander Holyfield, he could have beat him. So I mean that you have in that shocking moment a person that beat Mike Tyson who was going through some shit that really could have been a great heavyweight. And I always look at that as like, man, that wasn't no like big time like, oh, he was that underrated. I looked at Buster Douglas like he really could have been great.
And Buster Douglas, man, kudos to him for getting off the canvas.
Yeah, that too. You know what I'm saying? Even though it was after 14 seconds.
Yeah. Kudos to him getting off the canvas and just saying, I'm doing it for everybody. Mom, everybody. I have to get off the canvas and defeat Mike Tyson.
Get back to work. And get back to work. Because it wasn't no like, oh, I got to come back and win. It was like, I got to get back to work. Like, he was working Mike Tyson, man. The jab, the move, 1, 2, pop, pop, pop. I mean, man, that was
range, man. His range that night. Damn.
Yes, man. I think he could have beat Evander Holyfield with a good campaign. I really looked at that as somebody like a Buster, like a Riddick Bowe, you know what I'm saying, like with the rangy, you know what I'm saying, landing those shots on Evander. Because Evander will sit there and take about 4 or 5 shots standing there trying to get his.
True.
And you know what I'm saying, like, and he just, I can't believe it. Like, you just sat there and ate pizza? Like, you dumbass, man. Like, I couldn't believe that, man.
Yeah, Buster Douglas had that moment. Sometimes it takes influences to kind of build a spirit internally to somebody to take them to levels that they never been before. And that's what pretty much happened with Buster Douglas. He just had that spirit and energy internally that drove him to a whole nother level. But when it comes down to just basically maintaining and solidifying his career as a fighter, as being one of the best, he didn't have the consistency to do it. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have the work ethic to continue that momentum. And I think if he would have fought Evander Holyfield like he did Mike Tyson, fight long, work off the stick, work behind the stick, man, just set up his combinations, really box the shit out of Evander, man. It just would have been a different part of history, man.
Right, that's what I said. And looking at the line of heavyweights, he could have beat Moore, a Michael Moore. He could have, you know what I'm saying, like he could have beat a George Foreman if he would have trained hard. Just like I just looked at like him and like if did he not go to bed at night and think like, man, look at the rest of the fighters that's in the heavyweights, or he just like, I don't want to rematch against Tyson. Like maybe that was it. Like, I don't want to fight that nigga mad, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh God, like I'd have beat him, he would come out like a rabbit Wolverine, but like maybe that was it. Maybe he just like, damn, I beat the heavyweight champion of the world. I feel like I climbed the top of my mountain. I don't feel like getting hit no more. maybe. I just like that was horrible that he just decided to take that path to where he could have changed history, like you said, to where, maybe the George Foreman thing might not have been a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Michael Moore wouldn't have got a chance to beat a Holyfield. Things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like Holyfield would have been like, damn, I gotta, like beat this, person that's coming hard at me, Buster Douglas. That could have been a great challenge. That could have been a great fight. That could have been a memorable moment. You know what I'm saying? Mike Tyson could have came back. That could have been a great rematch. You know what I'm saying? That could have went 12 rounds. Tyson could have won a big 12-round fight. You got different scenarios in that to where I say big F you to Buster Douglas for pissing it away.
Yeah, boxing has those pros and cons, man, and what's
Yep.
good and what's bad, man. It allows people from all walks of life to come and make a living if you're
Yep.
able to, and even on the lower tier, and you're able to get a
Mm-hmm.
small bag here and there from putting your hands
Mm-hmm.
together. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Reggie Strickland. Somebody was allowing Reggie Strickland to continue to get licensed, and the commission was allowing
Yeah.
him to continue to fight with 200 some losses.
Yeah. This is unbelievable. It's like, whoa. And then like I look at this too. It's like when you see people go from like rank 11 to like rank 2, all of a sudden you're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Like,
uh-huh.
how did this happen?
Crazy,
Like,
man.
yeah, crazy things, man.
I wanted to talk
Shocking
about
news.
someone who I thought should have been initially banned for quite some time, more than a year, because it's a difference between, to me, like you look at Canelo Alvarez recently popping for Glenbuterol, and he said it was the beef. Okay, it's not too much defining evidence to say it was intentional, but fight fans has pretty much left that shit alone. They say, "Oh man, he did that shit. Whatever. He's still one of the best in the sport. He came back and gave us a really good rematch with Triple G. So we're just leaving it to the side." It's just something about testing that kind of um I don't know. It devalues its severity when it comes to someone enhancing themselves with the physical part of their boxing tools, and that goes to Margarito. Margarito, in my opinion, could have left Miguel Cotto like a man that just came back. What's the guy that just came back? The one who fought Sergey Kovalev? Um, Alexander. What's the brother who just came back? He just slipped my mind.
Who fought Kovalev
No, no, the,
recently?
the the guy who went into a coma slightly recently.
Oh, against the nail, Donna Stevenson.
Adonis Stevenson just now coming back. We already saw what happened with Gerald McLean, but I just look at this moment right here with Antonio Margarita using the plaster of Paris in his gloves, and
Hmm.
I truly think he had that in his gloves to make Miguel Cotto quit.
Yeah.
So shout out to Nassim Richardson for being very, very vigilant and knowing that something didn't look right with those hand wraps that day, because Sugar Shane could have very well been the Adonis Stevenson back then if he would have took that punishment from Margarito.
Yeah. It could have been real bad in there, and it really charged up Shane Mosley go in there and get him out of there. But with Margarito, man, that was just real cheap. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you want to cheat the sport like that? Because you know what I'm saying, like now, like I would turn the channel if Margaritos gets on the card. You know what I'm saying? It was just hard for me to be like, man, you was really doing that. Then I look back at the Miguel Cotto fight. It's like Miguel Cotto was actually like really trying to come on and like come up and try to like take the fight over and win it. You know what I'm saying? Like he was still trying to be in it, but not realizing that you're hitting him with cement. You know what I'm saying? You bastard. You know what I'm saying? Like that
It
that
continues to harden
that
when it gets wet. It gets hard.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, man, like that. When you look at that, that's go. You know what I'm saying? That's like you racked that up there with Mike Tyson biting the air off, man. You trying to kill somebody in there, man. Like you're trying to like that's sad, man. Like it's just that makes it where it's like you look at that fight. Miguel Cotto looked like he got hit in the face with a baseball bat a lot.
Yeah, and they only suspended, I believe, Margarita for a year, which was
Right.
very lenient compared to
Mhm.
him being caught in the act that could have sent him, place his opponent rather in a state where they wouldn't have been able to fight anymore. They could have ended, Margarita could have ended their career right then and there from beating for what 7 to 8 rounds it took for him to get started and really do damage. So,
That's what I said, man. That's what I'm glad Paul Williams beat the shit out of and Pacquiao.
oh yeah, I mean, retribution still wasn't there because for retribution for cheating with loaded gloves, I don't know, man. You have to even a knockout to me isn't retribution. It's just
Nah, that,
somebody who just taking punishment for
yeah.
entire 12 rounds, and somebody could
Hmm.
stop them, but they don't.
Yeah, because I always said people always laugh at me, my brother mainly, because we always talk about that. Is that I said it took at least until Miguel Cotto fought Floyd Mayweather until he was back, and where Floyd was, I think, superior to Miguel Cotto, got the best Miguel Cotto, and people will sit there and go, "How do you figure?" And I go, yeah, whenever you see Floyd Mayweather's nosebleed, whenever you see Floyd Mayweather looking in that corner like, damn. I
Well,
always look at it
Miguel
that
Cotto was touching for it
Margarito.
up. Yeah.
I always look at it that Margarito fucked Cotto up for Pacquiao. Down, you know what I'm saying? To where that fight was just bad. It messed him up. You know what I'm saying? Fights after that. When he got the fight, I believe against Andy Lee. When he fought, I'm sorry. Whenever it was just something of different about his preparation. I just looked at him and said, I think he's kind of back to where that punishment really did a damage. That punishment really did a damage on Cotto to where I think that was I want to say about 3 fights to get him right back to where in the Floyd Mayweather fight that was the best Miguel Cotto like that could be in that fight to where he put a lot of pressure on Floyd to where like I said it's not too many times you've seen Floyd Mayweather's nose bleed like that and him have that kind of like okay this is different.
And Floyd wasn't that boxer to get hit all the time like that to see his nose
Right.
bleed.
Exactly. So I always said, man, those combinations were quick. It just he didn't look right against Pacquiao, man. It just like, and I always said, man, I said Margarito, man, is the blame. I said Margarito is the blame for at least about a good 3 years of Miguel Cotto's career, to where his shit was all discombobulated, man. He wasn't the same. He wasn't the same, and he was the type of guy that wasn't gonna quit. So I mean, like, and the fact that you're making money and you know what I'm saying, like, and everything he was like, you know what I'm saying, going through with his dad because it just like it was bad, man.
Yeah, a lot of people attach what Margarito did and getting caught with loaded gloves and everything to what happened with the old school ban dealing with Panama Lewis and his fighter Luis Resto. Luis
Hmm.
Resto fought an undefeated prospect named Billy Collins Jr. and his
Hmm.
dad was in his corner too, somewhat like the Zab Judas and his father and Sugar Shane Mosley and what his dad used to. And for even Zab Judah, not Zab Judah, but what's the other guy that's in there with his father? But the father and son tandems. And what
Hmm.
was so crazy and fucked up about Panama Lewis was that his fighters had already taken several losses already. And the selfish thing about it, him disrespecting the sport, and the reason why I think they just banned him because this undefeated prospect, it wasn't even from a championship bout. It was a kid, Billy Collins, who was 14-0, who's coming up, was going to be a tough fight. But Panama Lewis had made a bet outside of the ring, and he made a bet on his fighter, and he had to make sure everything played out the way it did. So he removed an ounce of padding from the gloves and also put a hole in the palm of each glove. So when he's fighting on the inside, that glove can scrape the face of the fighter and everything. It was
That's
bad, man.
crazy.
He ended up being banned for life.
Yeah, man. That's crazy, man. That's Wow. Hey man, back in the old days, man, you never know what could happen, man. You never know. You never know. I always say like whenever I went to the Canton, I went to the Football Hall of Fame, and they said the guys back in the leather helmet days, back in those days in boxing, they said back in that days they had these the mouthpieces where it had these, kind of like a metal end to them, like where you put them in, but they had like a metal type end. They said some players would sit there and take that mouthpiece out, put it in their hand, so whenever a player run up to them, they could come up with an uppercut. And people back then was just that anything with it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
any
Anything
weapon.
with
Yeah.
so that those to hear the baseball dirty stuff back then was just insane. People would get hit in the face all the time. You know what I'm saying? So you had people sitting there, putting, boxing was something else back then, man. When you look at Sonny Liston what he did to Ali, what I'm saying, when he was Cassius Clay. So I mean, when he couldn't see, what I'm saying, what he couldn't see, what round 3 or 4, something like that.
When Sonny Liston couldn't see.
No, when Cassius Clay couldn't see.
Oh, I wasn't. I'm not sure what round it was. I just know in that fight, Sonny Liston was hit with a fathom punch, and Ali was
No,
telling him,
I'm talking about one. I'm talking about Sonny
"Oh,
Liston, Cassius Clay one. It was a certain round where Cassius Clay could not see, and they would say that Sonny Liston that they had put some powder inside of his glove to where he sit there and rubbed it on Cassius Clay's face in the say round. I would say about like
oh, I
round
thought
four
it
or
was like
five.
a liquid or something that they had
Yeah,
that."
yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Either
They
way
said
it
because
goes, it was fucked up. It was some dirty tricks to the trade. But I
right.
want to kind of finish up with the Panama Lewis is that his fighter Luis Resto end up admitting that he knew that the padding was removed because at the end of
Mm-hmm.
the fight, Resto walked over to shake the hand of the father, Billy
Mm-hmm.
Collins' father, and his father, shook the hands. The what is the how you put it? How would you even think, after a fighter finished fighting, you still have the gloves on? Because usually fighters remove the gloves, that he would keep his gloves on, go over there and shake hands with the dad, and the dad felt the gloves and like, damn, that felt like it didn't have any padding in it. So that's how the dad determined that something was wrong with Resto's gloves. So he summoned the commission. He said, "Hey, them gloves right there seem like they barely have any padding in it. So you should take a look." So when the commission confiscated the gloves and put them in the car, the rest is history. They found out
Yeah.
that padding was removed, that Panama Lewis manipulated the gloves, and also put a hole in the palm of each glove, which ultimately scratched the iris of Billy Collins and his boxing career.
That's wow. Yeah, ban from life. Get the hell out and
Yeah,
don't come
banned him for
back.
life, and Billy Collins lost his career, and then Panama Lewis went to, prison for 6 years, and his fighter Resto went for 3 years. That was
Wow,
that was one of the most shocking. It's up there with the top five
that's crazy, man.
because Panama Lewis
That's
looks bad, man. Like they interview him today, he looks very bad. Like he's been through hell, and he continued to transit there. Like people gave him absolute hell, almost like Pete Rose, man. Like I
yeah.
don't think more so people give Pete Rose hell. It's just the fact that he betted on the sport that he was playing, though. He betted
Mm-hmm.
on the sport.
Mm-hmm. I always say with Pete Rose is with me people I don't care. Like there are racists, and just like Tim Curtin said, rapists in the Baseball Hall of Fame. If y'all want to sit there and scorn a man just because he betted on his team every time,
Yeah.
y'all go right ahead. But when I put my vote down, Tim Curtin said, I would have to say I would let him in at this point.
Yeah, I think at what point did you just say, okay, he's served enough. He's been punished enough, man. I
Hmm.
mean,
I
not for
mean,
Panama Lewis though. Panama Lewis,
no,
what
no,
he
no.
did.
Panama Lewis put somebody. He could have killed him. You know what I'm saying? He could. I mean, forget about his career. he could have killed him. You know what I'm saying? You know, Boom Boom Mancini within the rules of boxing, and plus you got to think of like 15 rounds, and that was a big thing. Where they changed the rule to make it go to 12 rounds too. You can't take that much punishment that long. But when Boom Boom Ray Mancini, took the life of a person in the ring, a lot of factors came into it. Plus, it was within the rules of boxing, but that instance right there with Panama Lewis, he could have killed that man. You know what I'm saying? And then what? So then you look at the gloves, and they would have been, manipulated. And you looking at it, it's like, wow, that could go down as murder.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, you're banned for life, man. We don't need that in the sport where you could try to do something, even drastic. Like, what if you might put box cutter shit in the ends of your hand wraps or something like that? You know what I mean? Like anything.
Yeah. I don't see. I don't know. I mean, I put that up there with the top five, the way that all went
Yeah.
down. And in this modern day area, Margarito, I put him up
Yeah.
there too. The only reason Margarito is not banned from the sport because it wasn't after like Luis Resto. They would have caught him after. Like if they would
Mm-hmm.
have caught Margarito, like that picture that they show Margarito on the ropes and that's that pink substance that's on his hand wrap.
Mm-hmm.
That was the picture after Miguel Cotto.
Yeah.
So if they would have caught him and confiscated the hand wraps after Miguel Cotto, we probably wouldn't see Antonio Margarita fighting today.
Nope.
It's just the fact that he was caught before the crime actually took place with Sugar Shane Mosley, and he was able to damn take that 1 year suspension and come back.
Yeah. Cause he damn sure had it on the Cotto fight. Cause damn it, I mean, like he was outmatched. I mean, like that's a whole nother thing. I mean, that's what I said. Like he was outmatched. So it wasn't like he was a better fighter or somebody that was just like he was going to get his ass whooped in that fight, and he was a person that was going to take hits and throw shots. So he was going to land punches on somebody that sometimes was going to take hits, and it was just a perfect formula to where these shits are going to harden up in the later rounds, and it's going to make him, go out.
What's another fight that sticks out? That's one of the shockings. I know we got the Roberto ran out there with Sugar Ray Leonard. I kind of think one of the
I,
shocking
I
moments.
think
Go ahead.
I think Tommy Hearns and Leonard, the draw.
Yeah. Was it worse than Lennox Lewis and Holyfield draw?
I really hated that draw. That draw right there made me. I mean, I cussed, and I was a kid. I wasn't supposed to be cussing at that time. I was. I said, man, Lennox Lewis won that fight. I could not believe that was a draw. I really could not believe that was a draw. I think that was a worse draw. I think one other one would be Winky Wright and Jermaine Taylor. I thought
Yeah.
I really hated that one. But another one would be to me is that I don't give a damn what nobody say. Sugar Ray Leonard beat Marvin Hagler, man. Like
He did, man. He did.
yeah, yeah, he beat him. He beat him. And for the people that thought Marvin Hagler won, I just don't know what to tell you, man. I just don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I think one of the shocking moments too with Sugar Ray was the fact that when he returned, he went out the sport when 84 and returned when he had his eye issues, the face Marvin Hagler. What was extremely shocking for a fighter with the um the resume credentials is Marvin Hagler and how he was respected in the sport would change up his whole boxing style for Sugar Ray Leonard. Like
Hmm.
how and why? Who convinced you to do that? Who?
Yeah, yeah.
Like who in the fuck convinced Marvin Hagler to step in there and fight orthodox? For a fighter who's coming off a hiatus as Sugar Ray Leonard, was he that lethal to you? Was he that much of a threat for Marvin Hagler to change up his damn style and get outworked the way he did? That's crazy.
I just think with that change, he just knew that fighting somebody like Sugar Ray Leonard that might have took the time to really like. him going orthodox for that game plan, I look at it as that he didn't want to get into that like, man, if I get my eye swole on this side right here, this gonna be bad for business. So I'm just gonna try to come in him like this, and maybe it would throw him off because like he's already, saying, coming off hiatus and stuff. I think he was just thinking too ahead, thinking too smart. He was in a Chip Kelly mind state, like this is really going to take it over the edge. I'm going to fight orthodox on him, and
Yeah.
that's really going to throw him off. And in the meantime, I can protect my right eye, what I'm saying? Like, and like probably just thinking things in that nature, what I'm saying? But that was dumb. I mean, but it gave Sugar Ray Leonard the opportunity to just, say, hey, orthodox or orthodox, let's get it. And he, did his switches and things and whatever. But I always said that when it came down to the end of the round, yeah, he did that. But he controlled distance. He controlled things to where Marvin Hagler was, yeah, he might was coming forward, but he was chasing in a sense, getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Then the end of the round flourish was happening. So it was so much happening where like, yeah, that's a good fight to call to say if that's Sugar Ray Leonard's victory right there. But the draw, when you mentioned Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis's draw, man, like being anticipating that fight because I'm like, here's the time for Lennox Lewis to be the heavyweight champ. This is time for Lennox Lewis, and I was a big fan of him and how he talked to it, just like display my talents and stuff like that. The way he talked back then was just cool. And for him to get a draw in that fight, man, I felt bad for him, man. I felt bad as hell, man.
A lot of people don't really mention that or whatever. What they do mention is the fact that Lennox Lewis was able to avenge that, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. But it was no point because at that point it was like Van Holyfield was like the Spurs and Lennox Lewis was like the Heat, or the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? It was like it's time for this guy to come in, take your old ass on somewhere, man. You know what I'm saying? It was like we didn't want to see the second fight. It
Yeah.
should have been him winning that one and then him going forward. So I just hated that we needed to see it again. It was no need.
Any more did you see that's in the boxing realm? We could implement MMA
There's
spectrum,
plenty.
whatever. Huh?
There's plenty. I said there's plenty. One that always sticks out to me that always pisses me off is that two of them actually, and it deals with one fighter. But two of them are real, great fighters that I always was a big fan of that are close by in proximity is Pernell Whitaker and Mildred Taylor fighting Julio Cesar Chavez. Pernell Whitaker beat Julio Cesar Chavez. B, Mildred Taylor deserved a chance for a fair 8 count. I
He did.
mean, like, damn. So those are the two shocking things. I can't believe that this man got knocked down with 7 seconds left in the 12th round, and you could not give this man that to take 2 steps forward for the bell to ring. He wasn't going to die there. Secondly, Pernell Whitaker beat Julio Cesar Chavez. My rant is over.
Did. He did. And I just don't know if that contributed to Pernell Whitaker's slide later on. I mean, but he gave Chavez the business, man. And that's one takeaway, like you said, for Richard Steele. That's one takeaway right there. You're talking about, oh, his life would have been how much damage you gonna take in 2 seconds?
Right, man.
How much?
Like you are pissed. That pissed me off so much. So basically, Richard Steele, I'm gonna be a reporter. Ask you a question. So basically, are you saying you're gonna let Julio Cesar Chavez hit Mildred Taylor after the bell?
Exactly. Because
You
it
dumbass,
takes 2 seconds for the fighters to re-engage, even if he was to break out into a sprint.
man. That guy is trash. And I just said, man, it's unbelievable that man, Richard Steele, he never was. When Richard Steele was a referee in a fight, I'd be like, I always went shit every time, man. Shit. Mildred Taylor beat the hell out of Julio Cesar Chavez, and granted, Chavez was coming back, hitting him in the body, stuff like that, but he was losing the fight. He was going to lose the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Two seconds after the fight nothing was going to happen. That right there, and I always said that Mexican, said the Mexican fighting style and the Mexican fighting realm was in full effect in that time frame to where, saying he got that respect. Julio Sergio Chavez got that respect, man.
It's just bad, that Major Taylor had to be the one on the receiving end. 2 seconds
Yeah,
left on the 12th round. No way in hell that you can validate your words there, Richard Steele. No way you can say that it it would have did significant amount of damage if you would have called a fight and said, okay, box, and Chavez run back over there, and Magic Taylor wouldn't be able to duck up under any punch, and then the bell ring, it's over. The fight's done.
right. And what and what is and what is I was going to ask you a question. Didn't Oscar De La Hoya fight Chavez twice?
I believe I'm not sure. It might have been once or twice. I'm not sure, man. I mean,
Because
it's
I
not
was sitting there
something that.
thinking, I was sitting there thinking if it was twice, I was just like, he got the respect to where like, how would he get a rematch against? I mean, it was just that he got so much. He got a lot of gifts, is what I'm saying. Like Chavez got a lot of gifts, and that was a big gift. And like you said, Melder Taylor being on the other end of that was unfortunate because he was a real good fighter coming out of Philly.
Yeah, and plus he was down here. One, he was part of that Olympic team that went in there and
Hmm.
did, damn good at that run they had. But um, everybody I speak to when it comes to Magic Taylor say that that fight right there affected his life.
Yeah,
Um, we just seen him in the news again. It wasn't the way
yeah.
it seemed. I know he looked rough, but he was the
Hmm.
actual landlord, from my understanding, that was trying to get a squatter out of the building or whatever.
Hmm.
So he
Yeah,
overstayed
free
he
Melder
overstayed his
Taylor.
career though.
Yeah, free Melder Taylor for that.
Yeah, I even look at the guy from Kentucky that fought Carl Froch too, Jermaine Taylor, how
Hmm.
undisputed, and he ended up losing at the last minute. Man, I'm like, God damn, bro, like shit.
Arkansas,
That's
yeah,
one fight that I
yeah.
really wanted him to win.
Yeah, Jermaine Taylor, he Arkansas. He rep them Razorbacks hard. That's Arkansas right there. But Jermaine Taylor in that fight, I always said like it was like he didn't look like himself in that fight to me. Like he just didn't. He just did not. He did not look.
You there?
Yeah, he did not look to me in that fight. I thought I had technical difficulties going on, but he did not look right in that fight, and he still looked good. To far as like he was leaning towards like he was gonna win the fight, but he was just breaking down so badly. I was like, damn. I kept looking at the clock because at this time I'm a big fan of Jermaine Taylor. So at the time I'm sitting there looking at the clock, I'm like, hurry up, man! It was just like it was all bad. It was all bad at the end of that Carl Frost fight.
Hey,
But Carl
Justin,
Frost, he's a
put your
trip.
logo up there, Justin. If you're just gonna have your camera at the ceiling, you can go back to what it just depicted.
Yeah,
It's soft straight talk,
yeah.
so fight fans can
How
see it.
you? Well, yeah, I don't want because I didn't want my video up here anyway. That's why.
Because your
What do I hit?
you just
What
had
do
it
I hit?
where your logo. So what you can do is just cut the camera off, and then it'll just be audio. And there you go.
Okay. Yeah, man. That right there was like one of those things where I said, well, it's something going on with Jermaine Taylor, but he could have got out of there with the W. Definitely could have. And then something was actually going on, and then as you can see, the rest of his career how it went on.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate, man. Hopefully Jermaine Taylor, get himself right. I know boxers take punishment, but Jermaine Taylor has had domestic issues and everything that's going on. So hopefully he get himself right, man. I think he shot a relative at one point or what have you, but like all these fighters, man, hopefully he's able to pull through it and get himself on track and move forward in a positive light, man. And don't keep the reoccurring theme going on. Just like, Anthony Rumble Johnson, he's also one of those fighters who's having domestic issues or whatever. But yeah, that's good
Hmm.
shit, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that. I look at another one. Thinking of around that time was like people thought that Bernard Hopkins won in the first Jermaine Taylor fight. And I always said it's just that the pressure that Jermaine Taylor put on Bernard Hopkins, it was just like it covered up the cute. counter and moving around and all that stuff like that. He mucked it up. So I
Mm-hmm.
always say that he won that fight to me. That Jermaine Taylor won. The people actually thought me. The people my God rest his soul, my cousin Bernard won that fight. He always said Bernard won that damn fight. I'm saying, man, I just didn't see it. I definitely didn't see it. But that's how good Bernard Hopkins is that where he can be losing a fight to where he doesn't get his ass whooped. He don't get pimp slapped, as he said. You don't get pimp slapped. You have your faculties whenever you call it quits.
Yeah, B Hop earned his legacy. He did his time. He got out and made the absolute best of his career, man. So, and also he was like a professor in there, man. He was able to figure out some people that the boxing community wouldn't think he would be able to do, but he proved them wrong, man. He was able to go in there and figure out and break down a fight as it was playing out. Like, very smart dude, man. Like, I don't know, man. That's why B Hop is the way he is. He did what he had to do in his career. He made the best of it.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he
What did
still
you think
the
about?
isn't he
Oh,
still
go
the
ahead.
oldest to win a championship at 46?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Hell
was
yeah.
over George Foreman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. Hey, what's your take? And I want to hear your assessment on this because this is your era. I ain't trying to don't you're my friend. I'm not trying to call you old or anything, but Larry
Well,
Holmes.
it's pretty much what you're saying. Your era, you know what I'm saying? Your era isn't anything dealing with goddamn any youth or adolescence.
What I'm saying,
People
yeah,
culpability off on somebody else. Hey, this is your era.
yeah, this is your era, sir. So I want to hear your assessment on Larry Holmes, Ken Norton in that last round, especially. But that fight even had some controversy into it.
A lot to do with Larry Holmes was controversy.
Yeah.
Even when he was about to break Rocky Marciano's record, people was damn hating on him, and he took offense to it. He's like, "Shit, y'all don't want me to be great." You know what I'm saying? You have Rocky Marciano out here undefeated, and I'm trying to go over here and tie. You know what I'm saying? A record such as that. So when it comes to Larry Holmes and Ken Norton controversy, man, that's Larry Holmes. That's who he is. And it showed with even him and Ali. A lot of people saying
Hmm.
he should have did Ali like that. Hey, bro,
Hmm.
it's boxing.
Yeah.
It's like when Larry Holmes jumped off the back of the vehicle. Um,
Oh my God.
dude
Like a
jumped off
superhero.
the vehicle because old boy was out there talking shit. And Larry Holmes said, "Okay, I know where he at." I don't know. It's just Larry
Man.
Holmes, man. I like the way he was, man. He stuck to the script. That's who he was, and he didn't deter from that. But as far as him and Ken Norton, you also have to take in consideration like what could have happened better. What could have done better in that case?
Man, I just look at it like from that fight when I watched it because I remember somebody told me, man, like if go back and watch that fight if you haven't, what I'm saying, if you have, go back and watch it again. I was like in that fight, like Ken Norton to me, what I'm saying, like he shocked me in his performance of how he came at Larry Holmes and pushed him, man. He pushed him and pushed him. I just thought Larry Holmes answered, he always answered, but it was at times where he couldn't, and where it made Ken Norton look good. And going into that last round, Larry Holmes just took a big, what I'm saying, like he took a big breath and just was like, man, I gotta go ham, man. And what I'm saying, like, and Ken Norton did the same thing. So it was just like that fight to me was like that was a tough one. That was a tough one, but Larry Holmes, man.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Ken Norton got that same reaction, a little bit of that reaction from Ali too, because they had they
Yeah.
scuffles back and forth, you know,
Hmm.
more than once.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
we're
He
trying
broke.
to trying to make happen this day and time.
Yeah, he broke Ali's jaw in
Yep.
the first fight.
But what I like about that is that you get your jaw broke, and then you come back and avenge. You come back and settle the score. You get your retribution in the ring. I mean, we
Yeah,
just don't see that a
that's what
lot.
made Ali great. Yeah, that made Ali great. I mean, he avenged Joe Frazier, he avenged Norton, he avenged Spinks. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just couldn't avenge, Holmes, of course, but he if he lost to you, he got you. I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, he got you for real.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And rest in peace, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Somebody that looked at Muhammad Ali like, I don't give a damn how long you've been out the sport. I gotta whoop that ass because what I'm saying, I gotta take this because I think anybody could have gave Muhammad Ali because he didn't look good against Quarry. So I think anybody really could have got Ali in that first fight back. If it would have been Foreman, oh my god, it would have been way different than Rumble in the Jungle, whatever they called that. So I mean, like the I
Do you,
always said that was the unfair thing of Ali having 3 years out the sport and having to come back flat-footed and not being in today's world of comebacks because they throw all the trainers at you, all the supplements at you. They give you all this time to sit there and give you a redemption comeback, and he didn't have that. Muhammad Ali didn't have the luxury of that. So he was sitting there trying to make money. He was doing TV appearances, going here doing college speeches, and doing stuff like that. He had to go through that on his comeback trail. So it wasn't like he wasn't running. Yeah, he was running and trying to stay in shape, but it was not the same type of what we get to see, like how Tyson Fury got to go from being a fat ass to what he is now. So it's like that was unfair. So it just like he coming in there against Joe Frazier, man. I knew it right off bat. You know what I'm saying? That when going back and looking at the playback, it's like you could tell, like he wasn't ready to win that fight. Got his scruples together, and then he was able, still wasn't the same. Because I always said if Cassius Clay, who before he didn't turn Muhammad Ali, like if he didn't get kicked out the sport for 3 years, would have remained undefeated, it wouldn't have lost. Not a chance. Not a chance.
so you trying to say when Muhammad Ali returned? I mean, when Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier happened the first time?
When that happened the first time, you can see it first round that Muhammad Ali was not going to win that fight. You can tell against Quarry that he wasn't going to win that fight. You can tell the 3 years after sport, and in that day and age, especially for that black man to get back into the sport, he wasn't not ready to go in that ring against Joe Frazier or against anybody.
I think, man, being out the sport for 3 years the way he did, he had two tune-ups, he had two touches, bro.
Yeah,
You know what
but
I'm
look
saying?
at
He
him.
had
But
two
did you see him
highly
in those? Did you
like he
see him though?
what now?
I said, but did you see how he looked?
Yeah, but he scored two stoppages. Once he returned, he went in there against Quarry, and he didn't look the best, but he earned a stoppage, right? And then he went in there
Yeah.
against Oscar
Because Corey got tired.
Gambino.
Corey was tired, man. He gave Ali a fight of his life and got tired, and Ali, they got him out of there. And what I'm saying, and the other one, he did. I mean, I was just like, whoa, that's not Muhammad Ali. That was not. And I'm 31 years old. I'm not sitting there saying that I was in that time frame of saying. I'm looking at the playback and saying he was not Muhammad Ali. That was not him, and Joe Frazier won. That was not him. And it wasn't him in the second fight. It just that it was enough that he was like, I'm gonna beat his ass. And to where, what I'm saying, especially when you look at Joe Frazier fighting George Foreman on how he got his ass whooped and how Muhammad Ali prepared for George Foreman and how he beat him. It's all of the fact of saying that I'm not shitting on Joe Frazier or nothing. I'm saying that he got a good one that night. He got a good one. He got a good one. I don't care what nobody say.
I mean, I agree partially with him having, I would say, less than a year, returning to the sport, less than a year to
Mm-hmm.
really prepare for somebody like Joe Frazier and took that L. I get it.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? He could have been much better to get his, not his wits, but just to get his whole time and coordination back, get back in the flow of things, and whatever else that was going on in that period. Like you said, he had the pressers, his license was suspended, he was going through harassment. It was a lot going on during that time, but he had two touches. And he the one chose to step in there with Joe Frazier, and he went the distance, bruh.
Yeah.
He went the
I mean,
distance, man. He
I'm
didn't get
not,
stopped.
I'm not shitting on Muhammad Ali because it's what I'm doing is saying this is how great he is. He went the distance. He came back and won. Even still wasn't the same Muhammad Ali because I'm saying that's how bad those 3 years was. He was so great. He was able to defy all of that and still pull up wins and still be champion that many times. That makes him the GOAT.
And you think his boxing career strictly makes him the GOAT? Interesting.
I mean,
Okay.
you look okay because no, look at it like this. Of course, you putting all the other aspects into it because if you look at just pure box career, it's Floyd Mayweather. But if you look at just everything about Muhammad Ali, this is why I say I always put him first 1A, Floyd 1B. It's because of the other stuff. Because of the 3 years.
Yeah, other
He sit
activists.
there with the 3 years, the things that he did was great because he pulled Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he pulled Bill Russell, he pulled these people in with him. So I mean, like with him doing that, man, that made him the GOAT. Because you made other sports come to you, other powerful black superstars that came in was like, hey, we with you, brother. That was powerful, man.
It was powerful in that sense of having both layers of the platform that he was able
Jim
to
Brown, yeah.
to
I forgot to
influence,
mention
the
this.
platform that he did, one of the best boxers in the sport, you know, being Muhammad Ali, changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. And, also back then, not everybody was all a part of the Nation of Islam. You have to take that in consideration. This wasn't the Mormons. This wasn't Baptist. This was a Nation of Islam. And back then, these this particular faith to some people, they kind of took it as militant something. Those people that didn't understand what it was about, you know, having a group of blacks and everything, they kind of took it offense and saying, "Hey, they banding together to form a militant group." But when it comes to Muhammad Ali being the GOAT, it has to do a lot with his career in combination with his activism outside the ring, like you just said, having other superstar athletes come and join him, come and fight the fight.
Yeah. That was beautiful, man. Like you. I mean, that was like they didn't do that. You know, that was great. I always said that that was powerful, man. And also with with Malcolm X. I mean, you look at things with just how he was the people's champion. People, saying went at him just like when Joe Louis was champ. How he was loved, and that's why Joe Louis is such a great champion to mention. And saying that, but Joe Louis was in the de facto is like I'm just in it for the I'm the champ I'm the champ of boxing where Ali was different, but Ali wasn't perfect, but we're not getting into that, but it's just that Ali would have to me what I'm saying if he without the ban would have been unstoppable, man. Like he would have been like him still boxing being active, what I'm saying, and stuff like that would have been a different outcome of his record.
And it would have
Definitely,
been
it
something.
definitely wouldn't have been 6 losses. It wouldn't have been 6 losses involved, man. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. I mean, because I take that one with Joe Frazier as him being reacclimated back into boxing.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
can't do it.
Like I think,
I can feel you though. I feel you in that because the two tune-ups, two fights, people should feel like, man, you back. But I'm knowing how the conditions and things were back then. And the only way that you're going to be in full swing if you're just fully active. And I think Joe Frazier being where he was, a workhorse blue collar guy who was always running, he was chopping wood and shit, running, and he was active in boxing, fighting fights. Two tune-ups ain't shit when you are
yeah,
sitting
for
there
first
doing
Joe
what Muhammad
Frazier,
Ali
I
was doing.
agree. Two tune-ups
Yeah,
ain't shit. You're right.
yeah,
But he
yeah.
stopped him though. He wasn't able to put in rounds. Maybe he should have put in some rounds and got that touch, got that feeling back.
Right,
you know, got back in the flow and the spirit of boxing. But when
right.
you have 10 fights after Joe Frazier,
Yeah.
10
I
fights
honestly,
before you run
yeah.
into Ken Norton, what would the excuse be?
Well, no, I mean Ken Norton. That's different because you
Good
back in it, and that's
decision,
why.
bro.
But that's what I'm saying. What that's but my point is that when I'm saying with Ken Norton, he's still Muhammad Ali was such affected by the 3 years that he was not the same even when he avenged Ken Norton's loss, even when he avenged Spink's loss. Because me personally feel like the wins that he could have mounted up leading to that, he probably wouldn't even fight Spinks. You know what I'm saying? Who's to say how long this man would have been boxing? But it's just saying the times and the money you make and stuff like that. I just look at that ban being very detrimental, like a Derrick Rose injury, man, or that sucked. It sucked because I wanted to see that without a ban, like what his career would have been, because that was impactful. But he still rose, and that's why I say, and in the ring, as a statistic or saying like something that makes him that GOAT label sound good, is that he rose above that and avenged a Ken Norton loss and avenged the Joe Frazier loss. Beat for George Foreman when people thought he was going to go in there and die. So I mean, like he still came out smelling like a rose, but it just like I hated that he got banned for 3 years because I think it would have been different because that was a bad heavyweight that had a welterweight, middleweight boxing type style to bounce around, jab, move, boom. Then he got power, boom, move around fast as hell. That was compromised with that 3-year ban significantly to where it was different, where he had to find a different way to win fights. And you saw Roper Dope in this to where he had to think pace and hear things of that nature, man. It was different, man. Big different. But I will say, if he had a 3-year ban for something in today's time, and the nutrition and all the new things with supplements and workouts and stuff like that, I wouldn't say too much because you got quarterbacks who are playing 44 years old. You got boxers like Bernard Hopkins that was able to be a champion at 46 years old. Things in that nature
So you got
today's changed.
quarterbacks being drafted in the 6th round, somehow winning what, 5, 6 rings?
Hey, yes, that's what I'm saying. So that's in today's world, I wouldn't say too much. Back in the 60s, that shit hurt Ali, man. If Tom Brady would have took, you know what I'm saying, if Tom Brady be out there 40 years old playing football in the 60s, dead. DEAD, dead. So if in today's in medicine, whatever this be, the TB12, he could be out there hurling the football still. And Drew Brees being the same. So whenever you look at people playing older in the NBA, Vince Carter can still do a windmill. You mean to tell me a 40-some-year-old Dr. J gonna do a windmill? Get out of here. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just different, man. Medicine today and supplements and all the preparation for these players and athletes for all these sports, I wouldn't have the same excuse for Ali that much.
Yeah, I know a lot could have been accomplished if you wager in the most fights that he was able to compete in a year. We're looking at an average of 4 to 5. So you take that within 3 years, that's 15 fights that we just don't know what his greatness would excel to. I mean, 15 fights, good Lord. I mean, that is something, that is a lot to ponder if Muhammad Ali would have been able to go straight through without the ban and was able to draw in some opponents' names within that 3-year period to boost his career. I mean, he would be untouchable. I think the caveat to your point, man, yeah, he would have been untouchable. Real talk. Like, you're talking about average of 4 to 5 in his best years, fight a year. He already had 2 in the year that he was banned. So
yeah, and he just made somebody sit there. He made somebody have to scream his name, man. He was like, "What's my name?" He was that bad, man. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if that person would have continued on, he would have been. He would be the goat.
yeah, he would have, man. Would have been amazing. He did amazing things, and whenever Muhammad Ali name come up, people do remember him from taking a stance. They do. They remember him for the rope a dope. They remember him for taking a stance. I mean, and they will always link him up to the Joe Fraziers, the Ken Nortons, Spinks,
Yep.
George Foreman, tiring George Foreman out. I mean, hey,
Hey, Scotty, real quick. You mean to tell me that if in this day and age, that at the time when Warren Moon would have been drafted first pick, second pick of the draft, back then that man had to play half his career in Canada. If that man would have played the NFL coming straight up out of there, you mean to tell me he wouldn't have won a Super Bowl?
I mean, possibly. I mean,
That's what this is. That's all I'm saying, man. Like, I kudos to those that had to go through things that makes it to where it's somewhat easier now. I mean, for the black man, because that whole draft dodging thing, that was because of the color of his skin. Point blank. Period.
well, Ali being a draft dodger, he wasn't so much a draft dodger.
That's what I'm saying.
He
That's
was a
why I was
conscientious
wondering.
objector. He just refused to go.
Right.
I think Muhammad Ali would have made a damn good soldier. You know,
Right.
he
Yeah.
was smart. He could have
Right.
been a leader, but
Yes.
he's saying, hell no, I ain't going in there. You know what I'm saying? Not to
Exactly.
fight no war. You ain't sending me over there to fight no war.
Right.
They ain't do anything to me.
Exactly.
I I do. I always take that in consideration of him standing up for himself and saying I'm not going over there to Vietnam. I'm not. You know, I mean, damn, that take a lot of heart to go through what he did, get his belt stripped from him. Was fined what 50,000, 25, 50,000,
Mm-hmm.
you know, banned from the sport, and also
And broke
convicted,
him. Mm-hmm.
having that shit overturned or whatever. It's a
Yep.
lot that he went through to have his name cleared and to continue on with the sport and be who he
Mm-hmm.
is today.
Yep. That man was out there. He hit low points in his life, man.
Yeah, he real low points. It take a
Right.
strong person to go through adversity the way Ali did. It take a really strong person, man, to be cut from that type of cloth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to Muhammad Ali. So, man, you know, shout out to the GOAT, man. Shout out to Ali, bro.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that was a very tough era that he went through and what he had to do, dealing with the Nation of Islam, leaving the
Mm-hmm.
Nation of Islam after what 10 years.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
with the talent that he had, he could just been like a Craig Hodges. That Craig Hodges was just banned coming off the bench, but he had a stand. You know what I'm saying? Chris Jackson, who changed his name to Mahmoud Maruf, Rauf, he had a stand. But when you got the talent that in the charisma and all that of Muhammad Ali, and also to put that with that stand, I mean, like that's just like, man, you shut that, you was willing to sacrifice to shut that off for something so much bigger, that we just wanted to sit back and just see. People at his time wanted to just sit back and see that speed, that jab, that boom boom boom, and then the prediction before the fight, the talking after the fight, the interviews and all that stuff. But he sacrificed all of that just for something like where he, like you said, that ain't do nothing to me. I'm not going to go fight. He sacrificed all of that, and then he seen that I could be something bigger, and that's why I said he went and talked to colleges and everything, man. Like Ali is the, saying he's on the Mount Rushmore of just powerful black people in general, as far as in sports. Saying that's why I
that's
mentioned
true.
other guys. Yeah.
True words right there. That's true words, man. The Mount Rushmore of powerful black leaders and faces that we recognize as individuals that really changed and spoke up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and tried to provide their knowledge by action, not just by talking, by
Mm-hmm.
action.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of respect come from. You can talk all day long about changing things,
Yeah.
but if you ain't sitting out here, in the communities out here speaking on it, going through
Mm-hmm.
the protests, people not going to respect you the same.
Nope. And that's coming from a kid that just got his bike taken away from him, and he wanted to whoop his ass. And he went in the boxing gym and ran into a person that was like, "Hey, I'll show you how to box. You can box in here." you know,
Yeah,
and the rest is history.
the rest is history, man. I mean, it's good he stepped up in there, and it's amazing how some of these fighters that turned out to be great used to be at one point in their life bullied.
Mm-hmm.
George St. Pierre in the MMA spectrum, he was one of those guys that was bullied. They
Mm-hmm.
have so many people that used to be bullied and they turned into very strong human beings, man,
Mm-hmm.
for the pugilism.
Yep. Yep. You're
I
right.
want to talk about mixed martial arts, man, a little bit, because I know you probably got stuff going on, man, and everything. I wanted to talk about some of the most shocking moments in mixed martial arts since, we do have an MMA card that's popping off, but
Oh, man.
it's so much that going on I'm talking about mixed martial arts. It can be anywhere. Glory, WC, Strike Force.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it can be UFC. It can be anywhere.
Yeah.
But to the casual fans who just look at mixed martial arts this day and time, they will always talk about the one with Ronda Rousey and Holly Holmes. 17-time boxing champion. Holly Holmes stepped in there. A person who's, you know, was she had a lot of push behind her before she stepped into the UFC, and going against a fighter like Ronda Rousey, who was going for her seventh defense, I believe, at that time. And she the one started the only division that was there, the women's bantamweight division. She started it. She was the face of the division. She even fought my comrade in arms, Liz Kamuch, who had her in a standing rear naked choke, but just didn't know what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? She could have shut down the hype train already. She had her in a choke, but to Ronda's resilience, she was able to, work, unhook the legs and have her, throw her to the ground, and the rest is what it is. But Holly Holmes, it was a dynamite night, man. That was electric. The high kick that stunned Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, that was the shot heard around the world that turned into memes around the world. I mean that right there takes the meme lead over Manny Pacquiao's knockout. And Ronda Rousey being that person that just didn't have a stand up, then it exposed to that. So I mean, a lot of things crumbled for her, what I'm saying, in that fight. And Holly Holm just being somebody that just like I'm a boxing champion, I'm a kickboxer, what I'm saying, to somebody that could, what I'm saying, mix it up a little bit on the ground on the stand up that you can't handle. And and that night right there was just like, well, I think Ronda Rousey gonna break her arm. Even I said it. I said, but I always said, I said, well, if a person can keep her standing up, I want to see if she can sit there and dominate, because when she beat that Brazilian on the stand up, I said it was a little bit of intimidation there. I think she got a little bit flustered, and and that was just different in that one, man. I was like, I didn't honor Ronda Rousey's finish on that one too much. But I always said if somebody can keep her standing up and be able to attack her, and Holly Holm was that one.
Yeah, shout out to Holly Holmes, because ever since that fight with Ronda Rousey, she just haven't really been able to get it, maintain and keep the train on the tracks, man. The Holly
I
Holm
know.
Express, she just really
But
haven't
she was
been able to do it.
already, yeah, she was already what, 34, 35 when she fought Ronda.
But still, man, like she's a I wouldn't say well rounded, because her strengths are kickboxing and boxing,
Right,
you
right,
know.
and she's going against the teeth of these young girls too, man. She's fighting the hungry ones, and I kudos to her for doing it. But that's why she's not finding that success, I believe.
I think she's due to step back in the cage against a pretty good opponent. If it's not Amanda Nunez, man, I forgot who it was she's supposed to step back in there with, but
She's
yeah,
supposed
that
to be
was,
fighting another dog. She's supposed to be fighting another one, another big dog.
yeah, I forgot who it was exactly. I know she's fought at bantamweight and featherweight. So that's shocking moment right there with Ronda Rousey. A lot went into that bout,
She ain't
heard
fighting
all
your honor,
around the
is she?
world. Huh?
I said she fighting your honor,
Who?
and she fighting your honor, Chechik or whatever.
Who? Holly Holmes?
Yeah, nah, she ain't fighting her.
No, they in two different weight classes.
Okay.
Joanna's fighting at 115 and Holly Holmes like 145. Holly will
Oh, okay,
Holly
okay,
will beat the shit out of Joanna and JJ, man.
okay.
Shit. And they both stand-up strikers too. None of them really looking to go to the ground. Man, Holly
Yeah,
Holmes will beat the brakes off Joanna.
yeah, she would.
But that whole type of energy that was going that Ronda Rousey had leading up to the Holly Hounds fight kind of led to the Conor McGregor train too,
Yeah.
because what she was doing is she was getting these awards with ESPN, and she was basically taunting Floyd Mayweather, talking about how does it feel to get beat by a woman, this, that,
Hmm.
and the other. So along with that, on the male side, came Conor McGregor. He's like, oh shit, Look at Ronda Rousey. She getting all this airplay for dogging out, Floyd Mayweather. Let me start doing the same thing. But he needed something to get his name up to that status to start talking shit so the people can buy into it. And that's when the 13-second knockout came of Jose Aldo. Still to this day, I just don't understand how Jose would rush in on a guy who had the left hand counter, and I believe they landed pretty much at the same time. I think, I'm not sure, but 13 seconds. That's one of the biggest shockers too, man.
I know that's what you call that night. Um, that was like that left hand like it was something that Aldo played in the fact where like the preamp like that's where Conor McGregor gets the W with the how he is on the mic. If he can get in your head, that's why he rushed in. So I mean that played a factor because it was the first round and he was ready to go in there and try to take Conor's head off, and then he ran into one.
And kudos to Conor, man, for being able to counter. Because they always teach you how to counter, even in boxing and everything. Conor McGregor never fought professionally in boxing, but he did fight amateur. A lot of people don't know that, and he decided to go to mixed martial arts instead. So kudos to him for being able to use one of the tools in an opponent that's rushing forward the way Aldo did, and trying to throw a punch and prove a point. I believe he wanted to go in there for all the trash talking. Conor McGregor just basically diluted and broke down all those stability up top, and he wanted to go in there and knock him out instead of just basically trying to work the ground game like Khabib did, like Nate Diaz did. He wanted to go knock him out, and he got fucked up. 13 seconds, crushed.
Yep, and that always can happen, man. Somebody can piss you off and just make you come right at them, and then they set you up with it. You gotta be composed, man. You gotta be composed. In the
And
words of
then,
Conor McGregor, when he said to Floyd Mayweather, he was just composed the whole time. He's just composed.
yeah, he was composed, carrying you for 10 rounds. That takes
Yeah.
composure. The next one on that, speaking of Conor, the next one that that deals with the shocker also in mixed martial arts. I'm gonna kind of change off Conor because he has a lot of moments that I can say that was a shock. Now I'm gonna stay on it.
Yeah.
I think one of the shockers was when he faced Nate Diaz because he had so much momentum. You know what I'm saying? He has so much momentum. It's not like it was his first loss. It was just the momentum going in there and the heated rivalry between the camps and everything. For him to just gas out the way he did, it reminds me of Joshua in a sense. He's good, but if you can take him to deep waters, they gas. He's proven that.
That's what I said earlier. It's like he Joshua and Conor McGregor, one of the same, got that problem. I don't know what it is. They don't work on it. Like I don't get what it is. And speaking of saying, if you wanted to move up Conor, I mean, like if you say like somebody fight Nate Diaz is like Carlos Condit, like he beat Nate Diaz, but you know what I'm saying, they gave Nate Diaz style points, you know what I'm saying, to where I felt like, you know what I'm saying, Condit should have got that one.
Yeah. And it's all about who the judges is, because at one point in time, the UFC was noted for having some of the worst judges, putting ink on those cards, man. And these favorite fighters.
they caught it with Condit. They caught it with Condit saying like he was point punching. Like what the hell is that? Point
Yeah, what,
punching.
what the hell is that? Isn't the whole thing is you supposed to score? You supposed to point? Yeah.
He had no power on his shots. I said, man, get the hell out of here, man. I said, Nate Diaz don't get power.
No, he slapped the shit out of you though, because you take the slapping the taste out of somebody with a straight punch. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but you get what I mean. It's just like to me, saying somebody with point punching to somebody that ain't a devastating knockout artist, it's just like or somebody that lands just pure power shots. He throws jabs and 1-2s just the same. I just thought Condit, did more in that fight to win it, to where that can go down as a real controversial, shocking fight.
And you're
You know
not
what
the
I'm saying?
only
But it
one.
just,
You're not
yeah,
the only
right,
one that says that. You know, a lot of
right.
people said Condit won that fight.
hmm Shogun Hood versus Machida. I thought Shogun won that fight. I don't know how he didn't win that fight. That was weird.
And I was surprised with Shogun, having the edge over Machida. I was just saying, okay, what is the next fight in store? What's the reason why they would provide that momentum to Loyola Machida? Like both of those dudes Brazilian. Like I just didn't understand that shit at all. Like
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
What is going
They
on
was
here?
like they. Well, that's why I say the judges always pick and choose when they want to judge the leg kick. Like Shogun dominated with the leg kick. He was able to land punches off the leg kick. Like he did things in that fight to where I thought that he could have got the dub.
Yeah,
That was a shocker to me. I said, "Damn man, like he kicked his leg off."
yeah.
And Machida would charge in and land. I go back and watch that fight again, but I thought that was a tough judging on that one.
I think we talked about this previously. I always like the reference, um, the back and forth between Anderson the Spider Silva and Chris Weidman
Mm-hmm.
when
Both sides.
Weidman was able to upset him. I mean, that in itself, like, damn, you call Anderson the Spider Silva, one who's known for his elusiveness, you call him fucking off so much that you was able to stop him with some punches. Then
Mm-hmm.
come back around and the man snaps his leg in half. It's just
Mm-hmm.
crazy, man.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy, man, that you think that was like to me. I think it was like yesterday or like so recent, but it was years ago, and it was just like, man, him losing on the knockout was just like the moment I saw where Roy Jones was losing it, put your hands down to where like you can't do that no more. Like
Yeah,
stop. Like with Anderson, like he knew he should have stopped doing that, and you're gonna start getting caught, and it's gonna hurt. And Chris Weidman, may not be the best striker, but that's a big cornbread fed, what I'm saying, dude that's gonna got some stones in his hands. So I mean, like those shots hurt. So you're gonna drop. And it showed how strong and that dude is because when you try to kick his leg, your leg came apart. So I mean, you should have, knowing that some things are changing as you're getting older. All good runs come to an end. Sometimes it comes to an end like that, and it sucks.
true words, man. Chris Weidman just had to be, a part of two in history because he was fighting a legend. Um, to many fight fans, they consider him the GOAT at one point. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, that has since changed with all the losses he was taking on the backside of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Chris Weidman, one of the only fighters who comes to the ring with the red, white, and blue draped on his shoulders
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But yet he fell from grace so hard. Like he fell from grace really, really hard. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you take Michael Bisping and you take Chris Weidman, a lot of people will glorify and talk and brag about Michael Bisping than they would Chris Weidman because
Mm-hmm.
of the pain and the toughness Bisping shown in his losing and winning effort. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the man talked a lot of shit, but he went in there and I mean, he went in there and did what he had to do. He had some very paint worthy performances, but then again, he's one of the most winningest fighters in mixed martial arts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have to give him kudos to that because hey, Chris Weidman went in there against Joel Romero, who just won that $27.4 million dollar lawsuit, and he went in there against Chris Weidman and ended up catching him with a knee that stopped him. So Chris Weidman has had his ups and downs, man.
Yeah, because like I said, he ain't the best striker. He's just a wrestler, and somebody's gonna be just strong or can handle that and be able to make him fight a different fight and win or catch him. And I knew it was gonna come. I told my brother that Notorious Gooch. I told him that you look at Weidman that he's not gonna have a long term successful career. He's just somebody that's fighting an older person that he can just overpower. And and that's unfortunate that that person's skill. is not going to override, you know what I'm saying, him being a deteriorating fighter that's fighting a cornbread fed tough son of a bitch. That's going to
Yeah.
end up fighting the tough son of a bitch who's going to be able to beat him. And that person was Luke Rocco, am I correct?
Now I want to kind of switch over to a area where a lot of people aren't going to mention. You really have to be a fan. You really have to, have followed the outside of the sport of just combat in general. When Kimbo Slice finally made it to the octagon, to the cage or whatever, and he
Mm-hmm.
had so much hype. Like he went in there and stopped Tank Abbott, one of the old school OGs of the
Yeah,
UFC.
yeah,
Kimbo stepped in there with Seth Petrozelli.
yes.
Man, come on, man. Like, rest in peace, man, Kimbo Slice. I just don't know if his heart went bad from a plethora of other, collateral. I'm talking about like supplements or whatever that was had. I mean, because from what I
Mm-hmm.
understood, the man didn't smoke on a regular basis. He didn't drink on a regular. So it was
Mm-hmm.
shocking to hear that he lost, he went out the
I
way
just,
he did. But
I just think Kimbo would happen with him being his stardom is that it just sucks that he wasn't 27. You know, he went
I
28.
know, man.
When he hit a stardom, he was 36. And they put that man through so much. He, think about him staying up all night, saying being a bouncer, no sleep. And
No
thinking
sleep.
like and being a person like his workout methods maybe might could be not conventional or somewhat dangerous. Then you look at him being a fighter, a street fighter, saying, then looking at the road of him making the run at UFC and then putting him through rigorous training, making him seem like he was a 25-year-old. This mug was about to turn 36 years old before he got really going. His heart was like, look here, man. What the hell, man? Like you got a certain window, and I think they pushed that window too hard. And once you get settled in, and him when he was doing the boxing tidbit, what I'm saying, like he was just overworking it, man. It's like look at what's the motivational lifter? What's his name? CT Fletcher. Like you can do that for so long, man, and then like something you gonna it's some things gonna go. Like it's just like
Well, we all
it's
know he was an injectable pincushion.
yeah. But we don't know what Kimbo was doing, all that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
And him the same way. He wasn't
right,
clean.
right. So that's the thing to where like you go through so much and they put them through everything and some things legal, some things not, and you look at the results and you got somebody that what I'm saying almost died in there. I mean, hell, him and Dada 5000 almost died in that damn cage when they
Yeah,
fought.
man.
They both almost died that night.
And I hope the God Dada 5000s and three don't don't even think about coming back in the cage because it's a
Yeah,
difference between backyard fighting and cage fighting.
yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of these fighters who are taking these performance enhancing, they're doing it in a sense where it's for strength and everything, but somehow, some way, it's affecting their heart. And I just see
Mm-hmm.
that the same thing with Joshua being released from whatever he was doing to prepare himself for stricter testing. I look at Kimbo Slice being a backyard type dude, big. I think it was something that might have been going on with his health that caused him to meet that same faith. And I mean, some people are just not built cardio wise, but you can see the dudes in their performances that are on these substance or these supplements, and it's not for cardio, it's just for strength. They used to doing anaerobic workouts instead of aerobic workouts. I don't know, man, but how the fuck Kimbo Slice died the way he did? How? It wasn't like it's easy. He came up with any type of disease. I mean, if it was heart disease, I can see, but it's just Kimbo Slice went out way too early. It just didn't make any damn sense why he couldn't excel better than what he did. He wasn't an old dude.
Uh, He wasn't no old dude. It's just unfortunate. It's just one of those shock things, man. It's just one of those unfortunate, like, damn, like. But um, I think it was documented that he had to go. I think it was documented. If I'm not 100% sure that I did hear that he had to, go to the doctor for, certain things that was dealing with, saying some things as he was getting, because he was, saying, like, when he was boxing, I think when he died at 42, right? He was died at 42 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not, that's just young as hell, but it's just like, I think he actually was dealing with something that he was monitoring, that he was handling, but it just, but what I'm saying, it's something that just went.
And shout out to the OG Kimbo, man. God damn.
Cause
Some
his
of them.
last boxing match, he knocked dude the hell through the ropes. I mean, like, he hit that dude with that right hand, man. I was like, damn. I mean, shit, Kimbo was still knocking mugs out. Whatever level boxing that was, he still was putting on a highlight reel.
Yeah, and I seen him training with Boss Rutan. And I was
Hmm.
like, what better camp to be with? Like he's really fine tuning his mixed martial arts over there with Boss Rutan.
Yeah,
I'm a guy who's been in the sport, a pioneer,
yeah.
and I don't know, man. It just didn't seem like he had enough time to develop. He might have been dealing with health issues behind the
Hmm.
scenes, and not
Yeah,
too many people talked about it.
yeah. So that's why I heard that he was. I did hear that he was.
Damn. What's another one to stick out to you, man? Either in glory. I always look at.
Uh, I,
Go
I,
ahead.
yeah. I think another one that sticks out to me is the. I think another one that sticks out to me is when GSP lost to Matt Serra. That was a shocker. That was a shocker. I thought
Little old
another
Matt
one,
Sarah.
little Matt Serra, man, little old Matt Serra. I
It
said,
wasn't
God damn.
exciting. It was an epic moment though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
It was epic.
yeah, that was epic. That was epic. Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn won. Uh, people can have some mixed feelings on that one. I always said that it was like all good runs come to an end, and you can kind of see it because the second fight showed it.
And with Matt Sarah winning against GSP, you also have to look at him getting upset by Shoni Carter by reverse elbow. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy how that shit works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, what was another one I could say that sticks out to me would be oh man, to me would be Fabricio Verdum with the dry choke on Fedor Emelianenko. When I'm sitting there just like, man, this is going to be a win to where like Fedor could be like, I beat a, 26, 27, 28, I think around that time, maybe, I think might just be entering, maybe just 30 or something like that. I don't know, around that range. I beat this guy type time to
Yeah.
where beating Verdum at that time would have been saying something.
Mm-hmm.
And him losing on that dry choke, man, that hurt me to death. Because Fedor is one of my favorite fighters. I think he is the real GOAT because he went through the heavyweight ranks, through some tough shit, pride, and all that shit, man. Like, Fedor is real deal to me. So I always said he needed to stop fighting to mess up his legacy. But that fight right there against Fedor was winnable. I mean, Fabricio was winnable for him. And I'm mad he lost that one.
I remember when he set that triangle up, man. I was like, Fedor, I know your sambo expertise, but for Fabricio Verdun
He's about to
is
beat
one of
the
the
fuck.
best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the cage. And Fedor he stayed close too long, in the
Mm-hmm.
guard of Verdun. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's going to be your downfall. And sure enough, when he was able to, you know, raise his legs up and lock in that triangle choke, it was a wrap, man. And the MMA world was shocked. Like, damn, Fedor got subbed out. Shit.
Yeah.
And
First
then it was
round.
downhill from there.
Yep. So that's why I said that right there was a big shocker for me. Like that one right there was like, what? Like, oh my god! Like, yeah, that rings out to me a lot. That one right there.
Then it's in the same case, when Fedor finally made it over to face Dan Henderson. Dan
Yeah.
Henderson had been
Yeah.
hurt by Fedor, and he
Mhm.
ended up changing the momentum and stopping Fedor. I'm
Mhm.
like, shit, what's going on? If as he taking too much punishment in his career, what the fuck is going on with Fedor?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. And then Bigfoot Silver just went in and put the icing on the cake and
I
really
know,
put the cherry.
man. Chinless
Yeah.
Bigfoot Silver, dog.
Yeah. That guy was a problem whenever he was really motivated. He was a
Yeah.
problem. He was a problem. I mean, his feet was just huge, man. If he kicked you in the chest, he kicked you right there in the chest. It just hurts, man. He was something else. But other shocking moments would be that I could the kick in the face by Anderson Silva to Belfort. I knew Anderson Silva could win that fight, but the way he did it and the way it had happened, like that was just a moment in itself. The way he kicked him in his face, like that was a poster for MMA for quite a bit right there, man.
Highlight reel forever and a day, man.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that Anderson Silva is really precise with that teep kick. And he did the same thing with damn I believe Forrest Griffith too, if I'm not mistaken. He kicked him the same damn way in the mouth
Mm-hmm.
like that. But
Yeah.
then he knocked out Fedor's not Fedor, Vitor's tooth. I thought he knocked out Vitor's tooth on that kick. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That was that and Anderson Silva, he's been a part of two shocking moments in my life too. I mean, it's Chael Sonnen that set up that like you're about to lose and you come away with a submission ending, for the victory. Like that right there was great. Um Another shocking one was Gary Goodrich been in this I remember he was Chinese, he was either Chinese or Japanese. But Gary Goodrich bent this dude while
Put
he
him on
was on the
crucifix.
ground, and he elbowed him in the face so many times, man. I was like, oh my! I said, stop it, stop the fight. Gary Goodrich, man, Big Daddy Goodrich, one of my favorite fighters, man. I said, oh my god, that moment right there changed my life. I said,
I was
he
like,
put him in
what
a
the fuck are
crucifix.
you supposed to do when Gary Goodrich have your arm? He has his legs, he have your arm restrained, and he has your other arm where he probably could have did an arm bar, but he just wrapped his left hand around it and just gave that man the 1,000 elbows of death.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That image is burnt in my head, man. That's probably one of the ones that I don't even have to go to YouTube and watch. I can just literally close my eyes to see that. I mean, he just boom, 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 boom. I said, "Holy shit, man!" Like that was a moment. UFC was dangerous
One of the
back
most
then.
brutal knockouts that is. I mean, it might not have been a head kick, but I'm just saying, how many times in recession that Goodrich landed could have put that dude in a coma. I mean, it was
Yeah,
elbow to temple. I mean,
yeah.
shit.
And that was when where the ref didn't come flying in there all early,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
So that right there was that right there is about on my Mount Rushmore. Like that right there, like I said, I can close my eyes and see that happen.
yeah. I think Gary. Um, it would have been good to see him in the sport much longer than he did. But
Mm-hmm.
he was in the era where it was catch weight,
Yep.
and
Yep.
he was good to a point. But other guys who practice wrestling and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that kind of excelled and had pretty serious stand up. Yeah, but Gary's moment was Gary moment. That was one of the
Mm-hmm.
best out there as far as his death by 1,000 elbows.
Yeah. That was crazy. That man, that right there. I remember that was on a. We remember we recorded that on a blank tape, on a blank VHS tape. And I remember I used to watch that shit over and over, man. We recorded that on a blank VHS tape. That's showing some age there, but a blank VHS tape. Got that? Put that mug and hit play, hit rewind, hit play, hit rewind, hit play. Damn, like
Stretching the
that's
shit out
crazy.
that tape.
Yeah.
Stretching the shit out that VHS. That shit, beginning to get blurry for no reason.
Yeah,
Damn.
man. Those, the Pedro Rizzo looking like Razor Ramon, man. Like
Yeah.
Pedro Rizzo, Kevin Randleman.
Kevin Randall had some nice ones in Pride. You know,
Yeah.
he did. He had some nice fights in Pride, but a lot of
Yeah,
people.
Pedro Rizzo and Randy Couture had a controversial.
Yeah, but was that one a shocking controversy though? Like,
I mean, it was controversial. It wasn't. I would say like shocking. It was something to be controversial.
I look at I look at a shocking moment when Michael Bisping was just trashing Hindu Dan Henderson out of
Oh my
Temecula,
god.
California, and Dan Henderson ended up knocking him out. And he said, "Fuck what you heard." He jumped up in the air and cracked him with that elbow. I was like, man, that's highlight reels for years, man.
Hey, because that was UFC 100. Am I correct?
I believe
What
so.
not?
Possibly.
What not a better firework than to do that, man? We watched that live. We remember we sit there and put our money together, and we hit that record, we hit that order button. We were ready to go on that night, man. That was a good night. But seeing that was like, if he would have died in that octagon, man, that would have been a quiet night. Cause we sit there seeing him, man, sit there and was like, he out. The ref stopped it. He was
Done.
going to stop it, and he said, "Pow!" I mean, that was crazy, man. That was crazy.
It was a brutal. It was so brutal. That elbow was so brutal from freaking Hindu.
Yeah,
Seriously,
man.
can you? I know I'm not talking. I'm not talking you in the littles. I'm just saying, bro. You imagine be laying out, knocked out, unconscious, and you have a high level, top elite mixed martial artist Dan Henderson jump up and crack you full force while you unconscious.
Yeah, man.
Jesus Christ, man.
It's crazy, man. Like, and
Hey,
that,
thanks for smashing that like button. Whoever is tuned in, appreciate it. Leave
yeah,
your comment. But yeah,
yeah,
I
man.
still,
Big time, big time.
I
Like
still
that.
think. Go ahead.
I said, I think Dan Henderson knew what he was doing.
Oh hell yeah, he knew what he was doing. I mean, and you know what, Michael Bisping, all the trash he talked, he deserved that elbow too, bro. He deserved every bit of that crushing elbow. And Dan Henderson, he didn't have no type of sympathy for. I mean, you know how they say you need to respect your compeers that's in the fight game.
Yeah.
Respect them enough to hug him at the end or whatever. No, not Dan Henderson. He cracked Michael Bisping when he was unconscious. That violates all code of ethics.
Mm-hmm.
All code of ethics, man.
You're right.
I still remember when Chris Cyborg beat up Gina Carano. Remembering the bulked up Chris Cyborg, the tyrant, the goddamn medieval, the Marvel hero, and Chris Cyborg when she faced the beautiful, prepossessing, attractive Gina Carano. And man, she beat the brakes off Gina. She retired that girl, man.
Yeah, she did, man. She made her be that. Well, I could be a badass on the screen, real quick, real quick.
Gina Carano, she was always meant to be on the big screen. She's a unique type of woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's very tough, but she's very attractive. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't give off that vibe like most female fighters that look the part. Gina Carano doesn't look the part. Like she really looked like she can throw on a dress and show up to a gala and blend in with the best looking women on deck. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, outside of that, she can throw down with the best women on deck. And I wish she wouldn't allow Chris Cyborg to retire her the way she did. What's going on, old soul Joel? Thanks for dropping in, man. Much love to you, bro. Salute.
Yeah, Gina Carano, I always said, man, just get a couple wins and get out. Get a couple wins, get out. Don't get yourself hurt too bad because I can see her skill wasn't going to be something to be like she's going to be an undisputed champion for a long time. And I would just say, get your win, get your few wins, say you did it, and get on the big screen. And because she's a very beautiful woman that does show the toughness where she can be in movies and such of action movies and things like that. So I mean, I always looked at it that her career wasn't gonna be long anyway. I've said that from jump.
And that was the old Strike Force days too. You had Elite
Mhm.
XC, Strike
Yeah,
Force,
yeah,
WEC, all
yeah. They
those.
let Herschel Walker get in there and get a W, man.
Yeah, Herschel Walker around your age, wasn't he? He was like 53 when he stepped in
Oh
there.
yeah, man. Oh yeah. I'm like I told you. That's what I said. I seen Muhammad Ali fight, man. Yeah, I'm about 60. I'm about 60.
I think me and you both was at that fight. I remember me and you both was, you was texting some female, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, bro, you gonna watch the fight? This Ali, bro. Why are you on the phone?
Hey man, I was showing her how to use a screenshot. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was doing.
For real, man. I try to tell people, man, I got some archives for the Ali fight, man. Screenshots, all that
Right.
shit, man.
When
Phones did exist back then.
Herschel Walker came in there, I said, "What? What? Can't believe it."
That's one person I respect because he was down here in Georgia. I seen Herschel Walker so many times. Good dude, man, and really a lot of my motivation with learning how to do exercises on a daily basis, like push-ups and setups,
Mhm,
came from the inspiration of Herschel Walker. That's
mhm,
real talk because Herschel Walker, when you saw him in person, dude was put together. He was always in shape and he was well respected down here in Georgia. They love Herschel Walker, man.
yeah.
He was always in shape. Like he didn't have no dang special cut. Dude had that little box fade or whatever.
Mhm.
He looked like Bo Jackson. He just gave you that impression he'll run your ass over. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? He was a tough dude.
Yep. He was the real life Ricky from Boys in the Hood, man. I swear.
Shit, he would fuck Ricky up, goddamn it.
That's what I'm saying. He was the real life Ricky, man. Like the box fade, running back number 34, man. Get the fuck out my way.
I always look at when he was able to step in the cage, and I was rooting. I couldn't root against Herschel, but I was like, damn, dude. Any other opponent a little bit higher in their skill set, you done. You
Yeah.
you fucked up.
It would have been bad. I think I was like, I'm glad that they didn't. I'm glad they didn't get. I mean, it was cool to see because it was too much talk of him talking about him getting a couple carries on the NFL team. Like he was going through a midlife crisis. Like that was a perfect thing for him to get in shape, get in there, get a W, a competitive W, to where he was talking foolish. He was like, "Hey." He said, I can get a carry and get about 5 yards, man. He was sitting there trying to get a team to make him do this publicity stunt. And I was like, look, I don't want to see Herschel Walker get killed on the football field because that would be bad. Because around that time, they were letting players come back. Like Chris Carter came back, he got blasted one play and never did
Yeah.
get back on the field. So I was like, please don't let Herschel Walker get back on that field, man.
I
And
don't think
and
he
I
could have
think
got killed, man. Herschel Walker was one of those uniquely cut individuals, man. He was cut from a different thread, of a different
yeah,
fabric, man. Herschel Walker.
but around that time, if Sean Merriman would have came around there and blasted that nigga, man, he'd have been gone.
Hey,
He'd
when
have
you talk
turned the
about
lights
Sean
off.
Merriman, okay, that's a whole different story. Yeah, he might have passed away. Yeah,
Yeah,
possible.
he'd have turned the lights off, man. You mean to tell me Brian Urlacher, Terrell Suggs around that time, Ray
Ooh,
Lewis, somebody would have been like, what? But
damn,
Herschel, what?
Uggs
Take
and
a handoff?
God
I'm
damn.
telling, I'm trying to tell you, those were the linebackers around that time, my friend. Around that time, that's who was playing linebacker and they would have been relishing the point to sit there and hit a Herschel Walker who decided he wanted to come back on the field and try to take a carry on. Let's see it.
Yeah. Joel said Herschel Walker was a super soldier in his heyday. He was,
Oh my
man. I
God,
know he
he
hated that
was.
his body got old. I
Yeah,
know he hate that because Herschel Walker physique stayed young
yeah,
for a long time.
yeah, 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 yeah. He's a special athlete because you know what I'm saying he say about Herschel Walker is like he was a part of the people don't know like he was a part of the trade that made Dallas Cowboys nice with the dynasty and all. He sucked, you know what I'm saying, like had to suck it up and go to Minnesota, but you know, had a round out, had a good career. But you know what I'm saying, like he could have stayed on Dallas and you know and whatever happened for his career on that. But I always said that when people mention Herschel Walker, he's always mentioned in that trade. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, that they was able to free up to be able to build the Cowboy dynasty. Is that he probably looks back on that like, damn man, I started that.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine Herschel Walker was in martial arts for
Yeah,
most of his life anyway. It wasn't like he just started taking mixed
right.
martial arts. Like he was in the sport.
Yep, he was a world. That's what you call a world class athlete right there, who took up different things, and he was that was documented that yeah he was in the martial arts while he
Who
was
do you
playing
think would have
football.
won between Herschel Walker and Bo Jackson? They ever would have threw hands?
I think if they would have thrown hands, I think Herschel would have got him since the experience. Like Bo Jackson probably is a strong, you know, gifted athlete that may have not have the experience that Herschel Walker may have had, and they're two strong people. So I think Herschel Walker might would have won in a fist fight.
Yeah, I mean he was experienced in martial arts. You know, I mean he does have it. Yeah, it would have been wow because Bo Jackson has the legs. Both of them had big legs, so that's the one thing he didn't have that myth like brothers. They
Right.
say our brothers got skinny calves, skinny legs. All you have to do is go for the takedown. Now Herschel Walker
Hmm.
was corn fed straight out of Georgia. I mean he didn't fit that stereotypical label that they put on us. But to see Bo
Hmm.
Jackson carry Brian Bosworth and told him to get his meal ticket next time you come over there. Shit, that shit.
Yeah.
Man,
Oh
God.
yeah, but that's football. Hands throwing hands totally different. And you know, as you can see with Anthony Joshua, all that physique, you let a fat Ruiz put you on your ass because when it comes down to the hands, I think Herschel Walker might go ahead and give Bo Jackson a two piece and make him be like, oh shit. And if he throw a kick at you, what you gonna do then? So I mean, it could have been got real bad for Bo. It can get real bad for Bo.
What you think about Hardy that used to be in your genre of analysis? He's now crossed over, being that he was somewhat banished from the NFL. He's now fighting in mixed martial arts. And I think he was able to get his first win recently. So once again, combat sports giving the opportunity to those fighters who has those very blemished backgrounds to come over here and make a living outside of a sport such as football.
Hmm.
So Greg
Greg
Hardy,
Hardy,
go ahead.
Greg Hardy, you know, to me, you know, saying he found a sport that I think that he could be comfortable in. I think football he was good at, but I don't think he was comfortable being a football player. You know what I'm saying? There's a
Do you think
difference
with
in
his
being.
history of being accused of hitting a woman, do you think um that he should have been provided the opportunity to come over here and actually participate in the combat sports, being that he was somewhat accused of domestic violence?
I mean, he's not the first. So I mean, like
Exactly.
in all in both sports. So I mean, he's not the first in MMA. He's not the first in football. So they let those guys play. So I look at it as like this, man. Like uh, whatever that happens on the law side, if he's not in jail behind bars, what
Yeah.
he chooses to do. Now, if it's a repeat thing, then you of course make your bans accordingly. Just like OJ Mayo got banned from the NBA for drugs, and you know if you do it more than once, then you get banned for 2 years. So I mean, like he did his time for football, he did his time for the time what he was gonna find out what he was gonna do. But in the meantime, he wasn't behind bars. He was for free man to sit there and train, and if he wants to be an MMA fighter, he can do so. But things going to follow him as he finds success doing so. But he's going to have to sit there and take it because that's never going away.
And speaking of criminality and mischievous athletes in the sport, I have to mention John Jones and mention the moment of him stepping in there with Daniel Cormier the second time and stunning him with that left high kick, somewhat similar to Marlon Moraes, who's stepping in there, how he did Jermaine's Funkmaster Flex Sterling, and also he did the same with Jimmy Rivera. Like, it's just amazing how you can do the low kick and low kick. It's just like jabbing somebody to the body, low in the body, and then you step in and you act like you basically go into the midriff or the bread basket again. You go up top to the head. And that's the same thing John Jones did to Daniel Cormier. He pretended like he was going to kick him to the midsection, to the ribs, and he went up over the top. Because you can see what Daniel was like flinching, and he was like, okay, I'm going to brace for this kick. But John Jones clipped him over the top, man. Beautiful, beautiful setup.
It was. It really was. It produced tears. So I mean, like it brought
Yeah.
brought joy to me. So I mean, it brought big joy to me that night.
Yeah, it produced tears when Joe Rogan even said he gonna stop interviewing fighters after they've been knocked out, because I never seen so many memes come across the online, bro. I never seen so many gifs. I never seen so many that was out there from a person who fit perfectly in the moment as Daniel Cormier did once John Jones stopped him.
Yeah, that was bad, man. I was like, damn. I said, what? Dizam. That's what you get. That's what you get. Like,
Yeah, another one for
all
me.
that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anytime you talk, the internet will listen. And when you fail, there's the internet. Period.
Yeah, for sure. I agree, man. It's another one that's out there that isn't as important of shockers that people are not going to talk about unless you follow the careers. But you have that one of BJ Penn fighting Diego the Nightmare Sanchez, and Diego was pretty much favored to beat BJ at this point in time. But BJ ended up kicking Diego in the head, man, and right then and there he split him open. Like, BJ Penn in his day, man, he was a bad dude. Like, I'm not sure what's going on with his thought process now. He's a little punch drunk and everything, but god damn it, when he stepped in there and he had his competitive fights, man, he was a bad dude.
Yeah, he just got to realize that he's not a bad dude anymore. He's not a
Somebody in
bad
his
dude anymore.
gym cannot convince him of that. So he continued to step in I mean, his last fight, he just got outworked. I was feeling bad for him. I say, damn, somebody threw in the towel, man. This dude should not be in the cage fighting.
No. He shouldn't be in the cage. He shouldn't be even in the gym training. They should be like, go home or go surf. Like you was a lazy trainer anyway coming up. Like
Yeah,
Dana
he
White had to
was.
fly
That's
out
real
to
talk.
Dana White had to fly out to Hawaii and be like, get your ass in the gym. So why now you want to still keep getting in the cage? It's just crazy, man. It's weird.
It might be that he doesn't he have a gym over there. He might want to just pick up another bag, and I don't know, man. He might need some equipment. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, you wanna at least be able to give knowledge to the students. You a legend.
Play the power. I mean, play the Powerball, man. Shit, play the Powerball. Shit. God damn, you don't need to keep getting in there and get your head kicked in. Like, play the Powerball.
Shit, man. I wish it was that fucking easy. I wanna, hey, the Powerball right now, and Steve Rose, right after people missed out, some people missed out on Andy Ruiz. The Powerball right now, Steve Rose, 12-1. So you put like 100, on there. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Shit, you might come out real good. Steve Rose able to go in there and stop Triple G.
Hey, Steve
28%
Rose.
knockout, bro. 28-1.
Steve Rose is gonna get rolled, all right.
Oh, you think he's gonna go out like that?
Well, I mean, I was sitting there saying to my cousin yesterday, I said it'd be interesting if this Steve Rose guy beats Triple G. I said it would show that Triple G really, at this point, especially with the him and Abel Sanchez departing, like it's starting to unravel. But what I'm saying, like it could be the night where that could happen. But to me, him joining the zone and doing this new move that he's doing with the different trainers, stuff like that, could be a different hunger path for him to get to Triple G later on. So that's why I said Steve Rose is going to get rolled on. So I mean, but it depends on which Triple G shows up. Sugar Ray Leonard always says, when you look in the mirror, you either going to be Triple G or you going to be Gennady. All right, yeah. If he look in that mirror and he's not Triple G, then he's going to go in that ring and get beat.
I'll be frank, man. That's a damn good point. And Triple G is an older fighter. For him to even, I mean, this shit goes on with neighboring fighters. For him to even get thought of to sign a contract this late in his career, all it says that we can get 2 or 3 good money fights off Triple G. And the only reason to me not to sit up here and bet money on Steve Rose is because it takes me back to the language that I was hearing when Canelo Alvarez was headed in there against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. The fight with him and Triple G was already signed. So now I'm hearing that they're definitely trying to make a trilogy between Triple G and Canelo Alvarez. So to the powers that be, Triple G is going to win this bout because they're trying to make another fight between him and Canelo Alvarez for that paycheck. Plus, Canelo has like 7 fights left on his contract. So they're trying to get that bag nice and soft, fluff that up with enough, crowd participation. And after he, go ahead and defeat Rose, we're not going to hear Jamal Charlo and Canelo Alvarez next. It's probably going to be most likely Triple G and Canelo Alvarez 3.
And that's something that's sad. You don't want to say to me just Andre's name that bad that you're going to say Canelo and Charlo. But yeah, it's gonna be Triple G. It's gonna be Canelo. It's gonna be Canelo and Triple G 3 because the draw. And you have a draw and then somebody wins the second fight. It's always gonna be the third fight.
I will give you this for staying consistent with Demetrius Andrade because you are like the 0.5 fan base that he has out here that's advocating.
Ain't that about a bitch? Ain't that about a bitch?
You are the 0.5 fan base that's out here advocating for Demetrius Andrade. We're talking about the brother who wore the worst outfit that you possibly could to a face-off.
Oh my God! Give it a rest already.
That was
for promotion. He's an avid wrestling fan, so that played the part. That was part for the course.
Oh shit! So you're trying to say Odell Beck? Okay, I ain't gonna go there. I ain't gonna say that.
No, I'm saying that he's a WWE fan. He goes to wrestling shows, Demetrius Andrade, and him wearing a revolutionary 1700s outfit to Boston around the time where all that stuff was there. It was promo. I look at it as him just trying to be out there so they can say his name because he is now with Eddie Hearn. Could have been somewhat his idea. It could have been something to saying like, man, somebody could laugh at that and they could be like, who is that guy? And it was against Billy Joe Saunders. So that's what I'm saying. So it would be great if he could have got that, if he could have gotten that W against Billy Joe. By doing that, people can look back at that. But Billy Joe, of course, bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for tuning in. That was SOSS Straight Talk, the 0.5 fan base out here for Demetrius Andrade, explaining as to why he potentially wore the worst outfit ever in a boxing face-off. the worst ever, period. And now that I've finally came to a conclusion and heard why, what was behind it, I feel a lot better. Seriously, I feel a lot better knowing why Demetrius Andrade made the worst attire, garb, outfit ever in the sport of boxing. It was the worst.
And I'm here at SOSS Straight Talk Show, you know what I'm saying, where it goes down. And here trying to figure out why Scotty White would say Canelo versus Jamal Charlo when Jamal Charlo almost lost to a replacement in his last fight when he split a main event with his brother who lost, but who ain't even in the M's yet. But he wants him to fight Canelo. And that's SOSS Straight Talk Show.
When it comes to SOSS Straight Talk, I'm usually talking about a person who's on the money when it comes to his analytics, but his support, his avid support of Demetrius Andrade is just like on a whole nother level of complexity, because I'm not sure as to why someone who's wearing ruffles on each arm, he's wearing knee-high pirate pants, and he's just looking like the biggest clown of the Barnum Bailey surface. Why would Justin be here advocating for the Demetrius Andrade, who is the WBO champion, but no one knows who he is except that 1.5 fan out of West Virginia? That's it. That's all I can about that. Like, kudos to the 0.5 fan base that Demetrius Andrade have.
Hey, kudos to Demetrius Andrade for being somebody that people avoid. They avoid this man.
Avoid? Just because he's a southpaw? Just because he's a southpaw with a pirate outfit?
Just because he would beat a Charlo or a Billy Joe?
I don't know.
Or Canelo? Hey, I can ride him all day long.
Long as you put some money on that when the time comes. Long as you put that money on your boy Demetrius.
Hey, look here.
I'll take Charlo in that. I'll take Charlo, bro.
I'll put the bread on Charlo. I don't know about Canelo, but I'll put the bread on Charlo and Billy Joe.
Charlo and Billy Joe.
I'll put the bread on Andrade on both of the fights.
Hell to the no. Hell to the no. Any dude to wear an outfit like that, no.
Oh my God! Anybody to sit there and box like that, hell to the yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he can't box, but I'm saying deep down inside, him being a World Wrestling Entertainment fan, he's being a true hardcore World Wrestling fan. He just seems a bit goofy to me. You know what I'm saying? And
good.
Jamal Charlo is supposedly the stronger twin. So whenever he is set to face Demetrius Andrade, I don't see a Tony Harrison playing out like his brother Jamal Charlo. I just don't see Demetrius being that guy to go in there and do that to Jamal.
Jamal Charlo ain't fought nobody since J-Rock, and I just think that he
stopped him.
He needs to fight. He needs to fight Andrade. That fight needs to really happen now. But
okay, so I want you to let me know. Hey, let me know. Maybe we can set up some type of transport. I don't know where the fuck Andrade at right now. He probably out on the ship making a damn cereal commercial. But if we can get together and go knock on this door, man, let's try to make this fight happen.
Hey, we can do it. We can definitely do it, because Demetrius Andrade is going to be a problem in the middleweight ranks when he gets the opportunity. They're not giving him opportunity because they're like, damn, we can sit there and say that he's not marketable. He's not who is this guy? He's goofy and whatever, but he can box, and I don't want to take a chance for him to beat me. Like, yeah. And that's what happens. And especially with Jamal Charlo at a time where he ain't want to take no L at that time. And here he almost did to a replacement. He don't want them problems.
Okay. I mean, I always consider Jamal Charlo as one that, would play a little scrappy, you know what I'm saying? And let freaking Demetrius Andrade, because they do have a history together. And when they was trying to get Demetrius to fight, it was somewhat like Demetrius at the last minute trying to up the damn ticket to 50 to 100,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, they might not be taking that dude serious, bro. Like, The Charlo
Because here's
offered him the ticket, and at the last minute, he's gonna say, "Nah, you got to give me 60, 100,000 more on the tag." I mean, who does that if they really want to fight?
well, because the person that really want to fight gonna have to pay out. They probably, I mean, like looking at like damn 50 racks, like shit. Like I'd rather sit there and take more money. Somebody fighting somebody like you who for obviously who's getting more of a TV time because you're a damn twin. You know what I'm saying? The Charlo twins was boosting that. I mean, it was just like, damn, can I get some more money on that? Because like that ain't nothing. Like when you gotta pay out. I just looked at his strategy as saying, like, man, like you really want to fight, man, just give me this extra 60. They backed out. They could have accepted it. I mean, it's the same thing said, like he could have just went out and fought and took the money. But they could have just gave him the money and fought. So hey, that's the that's
I
the
really
that's the
want.
that's the that's the thing negotiating the business right there. If I would want to really fight, I'd take $300. But I'm just saying, we are professional prize fighters. I'm really looking at the logistics of things, saying is that if I beat your ass, I'm gonna feel somewhat dissatisfied because I got 50 racks here that I'm gonna have to pay out some of that. And I'd rather have that 100 racks to where I can sit there and say, I got something here with a W. It goes with more than bragging rights or saying like, oh, that's a stepping stone plateau. It's like at a point where like, man, I'm approached to be making this much now because this person is getting a little bit bigger name than me because he's not being avoided.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that the point two. I had to take a couple. I had to take the point two of his fan base was pretty much highlighting because I look at Demetrius Andrade everything from his box rec picture to his resume. When is he planning on getting himself hot to the attention of those who want to pay money to come see him? How? When? He's fighting Selecki next. We already know when Selecki, when he stepped in there with Daniel Jacobs, they did like 7,800 views or something in Daniel Jacobs' hometown. Now he's fighting Selecki, yo. Come on, bro.
That's because what always happens. He was
Come
sitting
on,
there and
Justin,
laying the
man.
fight.
Come on,
Hey,
man.
look.
Your boy. That's your boy.
Who is Jamal Charlo fighting next?
Jamal Charlo's fighting Brandon Anderson on the contender.
Okay.
He won the contender. I know he's not a big name, but he's fighting a dude that's coming off momentum from winning the contender.
Okay.
Demetrius Andrade is fighting somebody that really can't sell a ticket to a local parking lot carnival. That's select.
Okay. Jamal Charlo's gonna spark this dude. And because this dude is like, I ain't shitting on a
He's gonna
contender or nothing
spark
like
Brandon
that.
Adams. I don't think so, bro. I don't think so, bro. For real. I don't think
Hell, he almost lost to somebody worse than Selecki on his last fight, so you might be right.
True.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's back. That's pump
how
the
are you
brakes
gonna
here. So let's pump the brakes.
game? Like, how is Jamal Charlo gonna spark Brandon Adams when he didn't spark the last minute replacement?
Because my thing is that if he's going to be more motivated and more keen on saying that I'm going to have a more better homecoming fight than Jared Hurd, and he said that was a quote. He feels real motivated. He's happy that him and his brother are not sharing the main event. He mentioned that out of his mouth.
Real talk.
He just seems a little bit motivated. So that's why I think he's going to spark that contender champion.
I don't know, man. I would have been more motivated to agree with you if I didn't see his last performance from a guy who he's saying, well, a lot of people wouldn't have knocked him out, or a lot of people would have lost to him. That was the last minute replacement when he didn't look that good. So now that he's stepping in in the
I just
ring.
think there was too much distraction, too much shit going on, man. If people don't believe that happens in sports, I feel bad for them because that happens in all sports. Your
What
mental
too much
comes
shit going
inside
on with
out of
what?
it. I think with him and his brother sitting there doing promotion, getting a little bit too cocky, overlooking, sharing
Okay.
the main event, doing the coin toss, all that shit like that, just turned into pure disaster.
But
And
that's
now he's saying
promo.
that I know, but
They want the
now
Lions
he's
only
saying
brand. They want the Lions only brand on the forefront
right,
in front of,
exactly.
you know.
And it goes back to Sugar Ray Leonard, man. When you look in the mirror, and what they saw was Jamal instead of Lions only. I mean, period. If you get yourself leading up to that point where you got to walk out your locker room and go down that aisle, and if you just look off, if you look unordinary, you're gonna look like Anthony Joshua. You're gonna look like Jermell Charlo. You're gonna look like Jamal Charlo. You're gonna look like those guys because you got to be in a state of mind of, say, a Floyd Mayweather, and I'll use him as an example every time. No matter what, he goes always the same. He never folded. He never had a look of distress or anything like that. It was on to whenever the ref had to separate, or if anything happened or whatever, go forward and let's fight. Let's go. Period.
How do we go from like Demetrius Andrade to Floyd Mayweather? That's just disrespectful to you even not give a time frame long enough to let the last talking point dissolve before you start mentioning the TBE after we have
Well,
finished
well,
talking
we,
about
well,
Demetrius
well, well,
Andrade.
well, well, well,
Demetrius Andrade, you
for
that's a
some odd
day,
reason,
that's a day away when you mentioning Floyd Mayweather. You gotta leave him and let him simmer.
for the record, I wasn't sitting there bringing up Floyd Mayweather in the sense of saying like a comparison or anything. I'm bringing up Floyd Mayweather because I like to shed a little light of greatness on him every so often. So me bringing him up was in the conjunction of you sitting there trying to shine on Jamal Charlo like he's some superstar when he's not.
When it comes to the
But
Demetrius Andrade, he might just be a little bit more shinier when it comes to the notoriety. You know what I'm saying? The star power when it comes to Demetrius Andrade. That's all I'm saying. Like, come on, man. You know,
no,
Jamal Charlo
no.
has a bit more notoriety than Demetrius Andrade.
I know. I know. Danny Jacobs, like like Danny Jacobs had to sit there and be like, man, like I didn't even know he was standing right there. Like, who is this guy? Who is that? He
Oh,
wasn't even talking.
you
Yeah,
talking
I
about
mean,
Daniel
you
Jacobs, man, the
wasn't. You
guy
know what
who
I'm saying?
stepped up against Triple G
Jamal
and
Charlo ain't shit.
Canelo and lost because he just don't know what he want to be in life. Uncle Ben, a
Oh
motherfucking
my
goddamn
god.
sailboat operator.
Man, look here. All I'm gonna say is this: you better put some respect on Demetrius Andre's name because Jamal Charlo ain't shit. He almost lost in his last fight at a replacement fight. His last big fight happened against J Rock. J Rock is redeemed that by sitting there beating somebody that could beat his brother.
Absolutely.
Then if you look at it like this, Jamal Charlo ain't even fought nobody credible in middleweight.
Don't get
Period.
it twisted.
Period.
Me is not supporting Jamal Charlo. Don't get it twisted. I was just making an analogy. That's all. I was just basically saying
Okay.
within the
But
middleweight.
you said you was gonna put the brand up, so that's why I was like, "Hey, it's on and popping."
Yeah, Demetrius Andrade, you know, if you're gonna say, okay, we're gonna give you 200,000, whatever the tag was, and then at the last minute, you're gonna say, well, I want 100,000 more. That's saying you don't want the fight when both of y'all trying to make
No,
a name for yourself.
no, I said you said you was wanting to put the bread up on the Demetrius and Jamal Charlo fight,
Yeah,
and I
I would
said,
put the bet up. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. I put the bet up
right.
on Jamal
But
Charlo.
you saying, you're saying that you're not a big time supporter of Jamal Charlo, and I understand that. I'm just saying when it comes down to those two, how they've been going at each other for all these years, and they still haven't fought yet. I don't put no blame on Demetrius Andre because he would take the fight immediately. But it's that fairness of saying like, man, you're not going to sit there and lowball me like that. And I think with his goofiness and with his handlers, and that's why he fired his handlers and without and having it being the way he was, that's the type of, saying, outcome you're gonna get where maybe somebody at the last second was like, man, maybe you should ask for more money to where that would have been addressed earlier. different handlers, different things, outcomes can happen. Like Deontay Wilder, you're not gonna take no $12 million deal from Eddie Hearn. But that was already laughed at right when it happened. Instead of being like, okay, we'll take it, and then at the last second, hey, I want 10 more million, man. It
Justin,
just that
Justin, I don't mean to cut you off, bro, but please, you have did it twice already. You've basically mentioned Demetrius Andrade name with great.
oh my
You have
god.
mentioned it with Floyd Mayweather, and now you have the audacity to mention it with Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Shout out to Team Bomb Squad. You know what I'm saying? 41 and 0, 40 knockouts. I apologize, those of you that's tuned in, that Justin Austin is mentioning that guy that's somewhere over there in a pirate outfit making a cereal commercial in the same breath within a 5 minutes disparity with greatness. I apologize to all the fans who heard that.
Hey, Demetrius Andrade is undefeated, by the way.
He is. That is true.
Southpaw,
You're right.
Southpaw. He's the champion of middleweight ranks. He's going to be like making a lot of noise.
He's 31
Hey,
years old too. Don't forget that. 31 years old, bro.
he's 31 years old, been boxing forever, so it ain't like he just started boxing. So
No,
it's okay.
where's he planning on going though? You know, he's fighting
He could.
at this point in his career.
Oh my gosh! But I'm just saying though. Here's the thing. Whenever he had Billy Joe right there, and look what happened. Like
It wasn't his fault though. I'll give him that. It wasn't Demetrius'
he
fault.
was supposed to fight Triple G, and they ran from that. He was supposed to fight Canelo. He decided to fight Feldman. So I mean, like, it ain't his fault, man. It's not his fault. People want to take a chance, get his ass whooped by somebody named Boo Boo. I get it.
And that's another thing. I just didn't mention that aspect because I just like Big Baby Mill. I don't call him Big Baby. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean,
I don't call him Boo Boo. I call him Demetrius.
Boo Boo though. Boo Boo.
Yeah, I don't call him Boo Boo. I don't call him that. I hate that nickname.
Grown ass fucking man, dog. You know, like shit.
That's
Get
like
you
Cedric Entertainer. That's like Cedric Entertainer said. I'm not gonna call a man delicious.
I bet Demetrius would. Shit. Demetrius would. Goddamn, with a name like Boo Boo. Something.
Oh man.
Something's gonna have to be done, man. We're gonna have to tighten up that freaking middleweight because Canelo is just on the outskirts of Demetrius Andrade's focus right now, his crosshairs, and he should be on the inner scope. He should have Canelo. He should be calling out Canelo. Something. He's the WBO. He's the last remaining title that's out
He
there,
been
bro.
calling out Canelo. He been calling out Canelo for about the past year or so. He been calling out Triple G and Canelo. Been calling out Charlo. He been calling them all out. It's gonna happen.
I haven't heard him. I haven't seen him or anything on social media about that, bro. I haven't heard Demetrius Andrade name in the
He's got a
equation.
very. Oh, he's always on Twitter. He's always doing interviews. Like I said, he pulls up on
Is that like a
WWE.
private account for RSVP only? And I mean, I
Hey, look,
haven't really heard that
look
shit.
here, man. I got shit to do today. To deal with you, you know.
I'm like, is this a private RSVP invite to know that he's talking about Canelo on Twitter? Like, does he have a private account? What the fuck is going on, bro?
Hey, y'all see this, America? You see this, America? This is what you get when somebody right here gets shit on. A southpaw that's tricky and slick, that is always ready, always in the gym, and just can't get right because
that's how tricky he is. He makes himself disappear from being in the equation, the conversation of some of the top middleweights that should be challenging Canelo Alvarez. Like, why the fuck is Canelo calling out Triple G and not Demetrius Andrade, man?
I know why. I already know why.
Why is he calling out welterweight?
Because when was the last slick style fighter Canelo fight? Don't say Dan Jacobs.
Let's give a take. David Lemieux.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to answer that question.
The last one. That's who his loss. with TBE.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I'm not
yes.
trying to mention Demetrius Andre in the breath of greatness, man.
All of no, and then he give or take, he could have lost to Laura too. But what I'm saying is that when he fights somebody like a Demetrius Andres type, it gets a little troublesome. He has fought guys since this time, guys that he can sit there and hit and showed slickness like he had in his last fight, showing the head movement and stuff like that. I'm not an idiot, man. I was born in the freaking morning time, so I can't even use the freaking method to say I was born at night, but not last night. I not no dummy. Canelo Alvarez, like, I'm staying away from those type of fighters, man. And he don't want to fight Jamal Charlo no time soon either, because he don't want to get hit by somebody that's hungry as like a Jamal Charlo. That's why I said him and Demetrius Andre need to fight ASAP, because I want to see the outcome of that, which I will be on Demetrius Andre's side on that. The middleweight division goes where those two go. I don't see Billy Joe Sanders being a leader or a guy that's going to unify in the middleweight ranks. So I just look at all roads go to Canelo, Andre, Charlo, and if other people decide to move up, like Hurd, his brother, Jermell Charlo, or somebody like a Jaime McGee, if he keeps on trending up. So that's what the middleweight division can look like. But Demetrius Andrade is going to be in it, no doubt about it.
I always say it's good to have that strength, that inner strength to support the fighters that you truly. I ain't mad at you for supporting Demetrius Andrew. I mean, hey, I ain't mad at you, man. You know, I support the fighters I support. Shout out Josh Gray Jr. Don't blink. You know, Deontay Wilder,
Yep,
Bronze Bomber.
yep,
You know what I'm saying?
yep.
Support the fighters and stand firm and hold true to your square.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about. I just look
Yep.
at it like Demetrius Andre, he's 31 years old, man. When is he going to start popping? When is he going to start getting those names signed on a inked on a contract, and we can start getting hyped up and excited for this dude to step in there with one of the best.
Hey, man. It's
Even
like I
Daniel
said.
Jacobs. Okay, I say okay, Daniel Jacobs. I'm tired of this motherfucker though. But okay, Daniel Jacobs step in there with Demetrius Andre. You know, at least he's a top tier competitor.
Mm-hmm. And that fight might end up happening too. I mean now, and that's what I'm saying. Like Demetrius Andrade is avoided by these guys because they don't want to take a chance, man. Like they don't.
Like, I don't want to
Triple
see
G don't.
Sergey Chinko go in there and fight Demetrius. No, I don't want to see that shit. I mean, get a high caliber, so to speak, a notable opponent that's going to be very competitive, a great matchup stylistically to face the WBO champion. Don't just damn continue to have Canelo just picking and choosing everyone but Andrade and don't nobody say anything about it. That's like my point. Like,
Yeah.
there's nobody out there saying Canelo. What about unification? Canelo. What about unification? It's like, well, let me call out Errol Spence for 20 million. All right. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Sean
Mm-hmm.
Porter. I'm going to here to fight
Mm-hmm.
Canelo for 20 million.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Like that's my point of Canelo being methodical in that, to where he don't want those problems.
Well, it should work his way. It should work his way out, man. That's what promoters and managers and all those people are for, you know. So yeah, man. Um, got any last words, bro? Because I know you got stuff to do over there. I know you about to head down to Magic City and you got to
Mm-hmm.
check on them. You know, just make sure you give
I'm,
me a
I,
shout
I'm
out while you're down there.
I'm actually about to like do some marine type stuff. I'm going on a nice little hike,
Hold
but
up, hold up, hold up, hold up.
I'm gonna do some running, some jumping over some logs and shit. Like, so I'm about to
Okay,
go.
all right, all right. I got it. Some marine type stuff. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Last
You
words
never
is,
yeah.
man. Last words is that, peep out World Combat Sports. Scotty White's the shit. I always like to say that. But SOSS STRAIGHT TALK SHOW. Y'all check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Instagram. Check me out on Twitter as well. I mean, like I'm me on there. I'm not, saying how sports updates this. You can see me. Saying be me. But like I said, got more episodes coming up. Got a episode gonna be dropping uh Monday. It's gonna be, hopefully we'll be talking about some NBA champs, possibly. But but definitely keep supporting Scotty White. He's got a great thing going.
Hey, thanks. That's all straight talk, man. That's Justin Austin right there. Y'all be sure to tune in to one of the best in the game right now when he talking that, sports analytics. And hopefully somebody choose to pick him up. Tune in his podcast and everything. And I'll tell you, Justin, I hope you get started over here on YouTube, man, so you can, start giving your analysis over here. I know you're not heavy on YouTube or whatever, but don't be like me on Facebook Live. Don't do it.
Oh yeah. I already know. This is
Years about, man, dude. I should have goddamn did YouTube and got started way back when. Man, I'm telling you, bro.
yeah. Yeah, I already know. My YouTube page is already up. You go check me out on YouTube too. It's just not. I'm not as active on YouTube, but I will be here more so once I get all that stuff ironed out. I'm going to be more active on YouTube. But yeah, I'm definitely go. You can go subscribe to me now. SOSS STRAIGHT TALK SHOw on
Yeah,
YouTube.
y'all go subscribe to South Straight Talk Show, man. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be it's not gonna take him that long time to get turned up, man, and get subscribers flowing so he can start going live, man. So yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Justin Austin. Once again, man, we'll do it again. You know what it
Yeah.
is.
Oh yeah. Most
Shout out
definitely,
to West
man. Yeah.
Virginia, shout out to all those over there, especially the women that's
Hey,
walking around there looking for a down south brother that they just don't want to see the same cats all the time.
Hey, 304, man. It's the 304, man. It's Charleston, West Virginia. We get it in. We get it in.
For sure, man. That's what it is. Salute to you, man. Keep on doing your damn thing, man. And y'all be sure to tune in to Justin off Sauce Straight Talk. We out.
All right, brother.